Recording podcast.
After all that, and he yawns.
That's how you know this is gonna be good.
That's how
Starting with
you
a
know.
yawn.
Yeah, we're both fucking tired as shit. I've been up since about 6:30. So
I did sleep in. I originally woke up around 5:30 because the dogs, they're like on a schedule. They're used to me getting up that early during the week to work out before work. And so on the weekends, it's like they wake me up around 5:30 and then I have to like sort of arm wrestle them down and like make them go back to sleep. And then they usually sleep for another hour or two. So I got up at about 7:30 this morning, which is fucking sleeping in basically.
yeah, that sounds pretty good. Nice.
That's what happens when you have them on a schedule. They're like, hey, we don't give a fuck. We have no concept of the weekend. We just know that the sun's about to rise. And so that means you're supposed to get up and feed us.
Do you think they know about the rap, or not the rapper? He's not a rapper. The music artist, The Weeknd. Do you think like they don't know what a weekend is,
but they know the man.
who The Weeknd is? Every once in a while they'll sing one of his songs.
I would maybe, but I don't really listen to
I
his music at all.
I can't feel my face when I'm with you,
mm-hmm.
but I like it. But it's okay.
I mean, I've heard some of his songs, but
I like The Weeknd.
Doesn't get any regular airplay in this house.
Right. You just listen to what you listen to, like Hungarian chanting. I think that's what you told me.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah. It's just fucking grunts and groans.
Yeah. It helps me find my center,
I don't know what Hungarian chanting. I picked a very obscure fucking thing. I can't even.
I was just gonna roll with it. I have no idea either, but sure. Brad just said something incredibly offensive in Tibetan.
Tibetan? Is that a language?
I don't think so.
I don't think
just
so.
Just a place.
I think they speak a Chinese language.
They spook Buddha.
They spook Buddha.
Buddha.
They done spook Buddha over in the Tibetan languager.
Yep.
They spook Buddha.
They spooked him. He got scared, and that's why he won't show up no more.
That's why China's trying to persecute him, because they spooked Buddha and he's no longer there. Wouldn't it be fun to wake up and then somebody's like, "You're the new Buddha," and they start rubbing your belly?
I would have so many fucking questions, because I'd be like, first off, how'd you get in my house? Who are you?
They'd be monks, and they got in because they're monks, and they have they're super chill and
but quiet. I feel like you would be so perplexed if you woke up and there were a bunch of bald guys in orange robes standing around your bed rubbing your belly.
Yep. But you're a kid, because they find out when they're a kid. How do they find?
My first thought would be like, are you guys oiling me up for a rape sesh? Like, what is happening?
If the Buddha is reincarnated, why is he always reincarnated like right next door to the fucking other?
Yeah, Buddha? Why wouldn't he be like reincarnated?
Why wouldn't he be some
Puerto
white
Rico?
chick? Yeah, or some fucking Puerto Rican fucking little sissy boy.
And he ends up dying at like 6 years old from dysentery. Like he doesn't even make it that far.
Well, what if they're searching for Buddha, which is a good name for a fucking movie, Searching for Buddha. It's like they have like a dowling rod, or what is this? The
dowsing rod?
Dowsing rod, the one that finds water. But that's for finding Buddha, and they have to go all over the fucking world and use this ancient fucking stick system. And then they finally fucking like get within like a mile, and the whole time you're seeing both sides, right? You're seeing them traveling, and then the little Puerto Rican kid. Although I don't know why you think. I don't think Puerto Rico is like a third world. I mean, it might be third worldish, but it's like part of America, right?
Yeah, I'm just
there's like cars there and shit.
Because that's what I do.
Are people dying from dysentery in Mexico? That's not.
I think it's more. Is it cholera? I don't know. I just assume dysentery because their water is not awesome.
Dysentery is like the jungle or something, like or sub-Saharan Africa or whatever.
Their water's giving them the shits to the point that they perish.
The parish shits, which is
the perishing shits.
The parish shits are shits that you get when you're at church.
Dysentery in Mexico.
Oh yeah,
looking this up. I want to just make sure that I'm not...
That's the most racist fucking question ever.
Okay, so I literally started Googling dysentery in Mexico, and then somebody, you know how like it shows you similar searches that other people have done. One of them was, how come I always get dysentery when I go to Mexico?
What? I don't think you get diarrhea when you go to Mexico.
I like how it's also called traveler's diarrhea.
Travelers. I feel like I
Yeah.
get that every once in a while, but just traveling like locally.
Yeah,
I have
dysentery is in Mexico. It's pretty
I
common.
have local travelers diarrhea. Um,
And it's because of the water. Like if you're not drinking properly purified water.
because they have terrible plumbing.
Yeah. So
Like they don't have
dysentery
good
is a
waste
big
or
deal.
what they don't have good waste filtration, or they don't have or waste management, and then water processing plants.
Well, a lot of those places too, it's like they're still using
Buckets,
like the original fucking
hoses.
sewage pipes and shit that were installed probably like 100+ years ago. So they're all leaky and rusted and God knows what else. So
I'm sure we are too, but we have like built-in filtration systems, even just like right when it gets to your house, I think too.
yeah. But because there was like this documentary on Netflix that I watched like a couple of years ago where they were talking about the water crisis and how the biggest attribution to the water crisis is just infrastructure. Like we leak out so much water through just shitty pipes and stuff. Like more so because like a lot of people blame it on farming and agriculture, especially like raising beef because it takes like fucking 80 gallons of water to make like a pound of beef or some shit like that. It's because of how much grain they have to grow to feed the fucking cows and all this. But they said that, I mean, that's a big contributor, but it's actually the infrastructure is the biggest loss for water. It just leaks out of everything constantly.
I don't want to go
So,
there. I don't want to go to Mexico anymore.
you have plans before,
Arriba!
and then now you're
Arriba!
like, between
Ay,
the
ay, 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 ay.
dysentery and the leaky pipes,
Is that why they scream ay 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 all the time? Because they're just
because their
shitting out.
pipes are leaking everywhere. They're like,
So
ay, ay, ay.
so you in Mexico, you also have Mexican food, which also gives you the shits.
Mm-hmm. Beans, man.
Beans. I mean, people are just farting and pooping and leaking
Well, they're
and
probably like if they eat that on a regular basis, their bodies are probably used to ingesting that much fiber.
I
They
know. I'm
probably
just kidding.
poop really well. Like
Actually,
their
I
poop
think
is probably
it's
awesome.
pretty healthy actually.
Yeah.
It makes it's one of the like foods that I can eat more regularly and not have problems.
Mm-hmm.
Although
I
I don't
rely
know.
on it. It helps
Yeah.
keep me solid and regular. You need that fiber, man. It's important.
Yeah.
Not a lot of fiber in the American diet.
I take a fiber supplement.
Do you?
Yep.
Nice. I try not
Fuck
to do
yeah,
that. I try
dude.
to
You
just
want to
get it
fucking fight about it?
from food.
You would try to just get it from food.
Yeah, I try not
That's
to have to
crazy.
take any supplements, but
Yeah, I don't want to look up what has fiber in it, but I do eat salads multiple
yeah,
nights
it's just like plants and fruit,
a week.
and like beans. I mean, the problem with the American diet is that we eat a bunch of processed, like simple carbohydrates. So they have
Fucking
very little
beans.
nutritional value. They have no fiber in them. Like,
No fiber in them.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, like white rice and stuff, and white bread has zero fiber in it. That's why they always tell you to like
Well,
eat wheat
yeah.
bread or brown rice because it still has some of the fiber, remains in it. So
I always heard you should eat fried lice.
fried lice.
It's fried lice, you plick. I forget what that's from. I forget what that's from. Hey, dude, have you ever seen the guy who does the emotional damage videos? He
No.
goes, "It's emotional damage." He's a Chinese dude, but he does like a stereotypical Chinese accent, but he also
Mhm.
he speaks like standard American dialect.
Mhm.
But he has these videos where he pretends to be like a stereotypical kind of Chinese. I don't know how to say this. I feel like I'm already
Correctly.
in a sinkhole of some
Yeah,
sort.
I was say you took the shovel and you started digging, man. So you got to figure this out now.
Um, oh man, I don't know if I should just say what he does. No, he just does a good joke. He does a good joke. I'm gonna go stupid now. I don't know. Never mind.
I
It's
don't know where
okay.
you're going. I feel like you had like a reason why you're
I
bringing this
thought
up,
you would know what I was talking
and then you
about.
just got so lost in the muck and
He does this
mire
thing
of.
where like he pretends to be like his Asian parents, and they like make it really difficult on him, and then he goes emotional damage. Like that's it, the whole thing. That's
That's the
most
whole
of it.
thing is his parents
And it's like
complaining about him.
no, it's he gets emotional damage when his parents like berate him for not accomplishing things.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like a meme where like anytime you do something wrong, it gives you emotional damage. But it's just the way he says it is.
Oh, okay. But is that his whole like video series? Is just
That's
emotional
most
damage
of it.
videos?
No, he has other videos.
Okay.
He did one that I watched the other day that was it was like why you can't prank phone call Chinese person or an Asian person. And it's because the Asian person just tries to sell you shit, like instead of you trying to sell them shit. So the guy calls him and he's like, "Do you want a extension on your warranty?" And the guy's like, "I have a iPhone for you, a good iPhone, $5, a good deal." It was just funny. He does that like, "I don't know what you do about that," like that kind of
Just like
accent.
really over the top, almost broken
Very over
English.
the top. Broken English for
Hmm.
sure. Broken English. That is okay. Do. But not for me. It's not okay for me to do it.
Not for you. No,
No,
I
I'm
mean you could
sorry,
do it.
but it's okay for you
l-
to do it.
Luckily you're not popular enough on the internet to be canceled and have your whole life ruined. So you can
Ugh,
still sort of
my
get
life's already
away.
fucking. What are you gonna do? I have like 15 bucks in my bank.
I
What are you gonna fucking do? Don't go into my bank though. I might be lying. I might have a lot more than that.
might have $15,000. You didn't specify. All the royalties are rolling in for this podcast, so you're just making bank.
Yeah. Why do they call them royalties? Is it because you're a king if you get them?
Actually, it'd probably be it wouldn't be royalties in this case. It'd just be like your advertisement
It would be
bonuses and
It'd just
stuff
be
like that.
revenue.
Revenue. Yeah.
It's my revenue.
Royalties are kind of for a, like a book or a piece of art, perhaps
It's
some
like
music.
something that's already been out in the world and you get a cut of sales.
I think I'm gonna get into the NFT market, with my books. I'm just gonna sell the original Word document to somebody for like $100,000.
But it isn't, okay.
I don't know.
I thought all the NFTs had to be like visual, not
It is
written.
visual. You're looking at the words.
It's I don't know if that's entertaining to look at words and to buy it.
I'll
I don't
just
know how any
NFT
of
the
that
book
works.
covers.
I think it's so stupid. I think
It's
NFTs are
ridiculous.
so stupid. I also think that like the metaverse shit is super stupid.
It really is.
I think it's just rich people fucking around,
Hmm.
wasting their money, pretending they're buying virtual space. Like I get that like there is technically a finite limit to servers, but for the most part you can just keep adding servers. So there's no real limit to land in virtual space. So it's not worth anything because somebody can just start a server, create fucking fake land. I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't either. I've like
Don't want to get it.
I've read articles like trying to like, they try to explain it in sort of layman's terms. And I read it, I'm like, okay. I still don't feel like I
But
get it.
why? But
Like I
fucking
don't, no
why?
matter how many times somebody tries to explain it
I,
to me or I
I
read it,
don't
I'm just like,
understand.
same with cryptocurrency. It's like I've tried to read stuff about it and I've listened to podcasts about it. I'm like, I
It's
don't
just
get
fake
it. I
money.
just
It's
don't
not
get.
real.
Yeah, it's just like
Fake
fake
money.
digital stuff.
It's like if you and I just traded shit back and forth just for the sake of trading it back and forth. That's it.
Yeah, it's I mean, I guess it's just a case of like something only has as much value as somebody wants to place on it. So it's
Yeah,
like if
it's like
somebody's
art.
willing to
You know what
pay
it is?
money for a
It's
thing, then
probably all just money laundering. It's kind of
Mhm.
like art in that like there's no real value to it, so it's subjective. And it's just money laundering. It's just people going, I don't know, I can switch money here and there and I can fucking make this fake business and I can make this fucking fake thing and just give people fucking fake digital fucking stuff.
Well, I'm saying is if somebody wanted to buy the original Word documents for some of my novels and they were going to pay me like thousands or hundreds of thousands, I would totally do it. Like, yeah, there you go. I'll send you the fucking file.
But
Give me
it
my
has no
money.
value because you
But
could
it has
just take
no
it and copy it
but
a
what's
thousand
funny is that
times.
it also like just because you sell something like that to them, they don't have the publishing rights to it. They don't own like the
No.
copyright. They just own this original document, like Word file. Because that's a common misconception that some people have when they buy. There was an example of this that I just heard about where these guys bought some copy of Dune. it was like a digital form of Dune. I don't know if it was just like a certain edition of the book or what it was. And then so they bought it for like millions of dollars. I think it was like $2 or $3 million they spent on this like digital thing of Dune, this NFT of it. And then they were talking about how they wanted to partner with Netflix for a TV show and all this stuff. And people were like, no, you can't do that. You don't own the rights to Dune. You just own
that thing,
that file.
Yeah.
Like you don't, the Herbert estate
Yeah.
owns Dune. Like you don't own that now. So it's like even people who are buying stuff, they don't really understand what they're buying, I don't think.
I have no idea. I heard like there was this kid that had like $40 million because he made a series of NFTs that were like these little
the monkey ones, the ape ones or whatever.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, like little animals, and it was just like little gifts.
Yeah, just like just little GIF art that he was doing, and then people were buying them up.
It's just rich people are like, I want to give this kid money. It doesn't. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah,
I don't understand. You can't eat it. You can't fucking fuck it. What's the point? Those are. I mean, that's it. You can't live in it.
If you can't eat it or fuck it, it's not worth anything.
Eat it, live it, fuck it.
Eat it, live it, fuck it.
Fair enough. It, live it, fuck it. That's my new rap.
Well, I agree with you. I'm just saying, if a rich person was like, "Hey,
fucking suck it,"
I will also give you tons of money for your stuff, I would do it.
Dude, I would take money from people. This is true, but I don't want to go try to make NFTs. I don't know how to do it. I want to make some other things with T's. And what else is there?
You want to see
elemental P's?
You want to see some big old T's from other people? I
want to see some big old T's. I want to play with some big old T's. I'm just thinking about T's now.
I'm drinking capital T's.
I'm drinking really good tea. It's Good Earth, sweet and spicy. It's like orange and spice. It's very nice.
Very nice.
Put a little honey in that shit.
Fucking zero sugar Dr. Pepper that I'm drinking because I am
still
not
have caffeine.
Yeah.
Oh shit!
You only got like 40 something fucking grams.
Yeah, it's like
nothing. 40 milligrams, not grams. If it was grams, that'd be a fucking heart explosion. Yeah, 40 milligrams. 40 grams, I think you would die. That seems.
Yeah, you can't drink that much caffeine.
Because how many milligrams is that? 100 or 1,000 in a gram? Oh, milligrams in a gram.
I think 1,000.
Yeah, that's what I mean. If you
milli, I think is 1,000, like millimeter.
If we use the metric system in this country, I would know how to convert this really easily, but we don't. We use this fucking bastardized weird ass imperial system, and then it makes it confusing.
Let's talk shit about America.
Oh, that's so
based
easy.
entirely
on
the
imperial measurement
like
system,
historical like bad decisions. Oh, that'll take a while. I was listening to a podcast with Jordan Peterson and Brett Weinstein and another person.
It is 1,000, by the way, milligrams in a gram. Sorry, continue.
I know because I said it was. And
okay. I didn't know if you were like 100% confident in that.
I was pretty confident.
Kicking my desk and shaking my fucking camera.
What was I saying?
You were listening to a podcast,
and what they were talking about was like how all this new technology is like way above humanity's ability to understand it, which on a certain level is pretty fucking obvious. But it was also like, I didn't listen to the whole thing. I need to listen to the whole thing before I talk too much, and it doesn't matter. But the whole time I'm thinking, they keep on saying we like, they're like, we don't know what Twitter's going to do to us. So why do we create things like Twitter? It's like, we didn't create fucking Twitter. Humanity wasn't like, let's figure out how Twitter is going to make life better. It's just a fucking dude who knows programming made a thing that's very popular, and its consequences will be found out over time. That like humans don't have a collective fucking decision-making system.
Yeah,
shit
no, it's true.
Happens.
It is. It's just like a little group of tech guys who came up with an idea, and they, I think the thing with especially with social media, but and tech in general, is that it's like a fucking snowball that's rolling down a hill really fucking fast, and it's just like these things sprout up, and then they just get out of control so fast, and there's like no. It's not, I think it's just because it's all happening so quickly, there's no rules or regulations to it really. So it's just kind of like this free for all fucking thing that's going on.
What I don't understand is the assumption of negativity toward it. I don't get why it's negative for humanity. I genuinely, there are definitely studies on like small effects of like young people who look at Instagram and stuff, but young people have always had problems with like image and purpose and direction and maturity and all that. I don't get how it's different. It's just new shit. Like we don't know how, like all this technology for the most part has elevated humans to a level that we can like fuck around and experiment with things. And you have first world countries where people are doing really well because of technology. And then we're like, fucking Facebook's gonna kill everybody and metaverse is gonna kill everybody. Why? What? There's no. Why is everyone dooming everything? Everything's doomed.
Everybody
Why?
needs
There's no evidence.
there's like everybody just needs a scapegoat, you know. For a while it was like violence in movies and video games is going to be the doom of all of our children. They're going to grow up to be violent and kill people.
But
And now
violence
they've
is
just sort of
down
moved on
across
to
the
the new
board in the
thing.
whole world. Like
When really people just have to accept that shitty parenting is actually the root of all of our problems, because if you're not fucking raising your children correctly, they grow up to be a shitty adult who then probably have more kids that they're also
yeah, it
shitty
seems
kids.
like people definitely externalize the woes of the world to like everything happening in the world as opposed to at home.
Because all social media is done right is it brings groups of like-minded people together. It's created a lot of like really large echo chambers, and then it
Sure.
creates events kind of like, you know, a capital insurrection type of thing. You know, these people probably
Yeah,
all got together through social media posts,
but
all had a kind of a, you know, it created an
yeah,
easier way for them to group together, right? Like if social media didn't exist, it would have been far more difficult for them to rally a large group of people like we saw. And I'm just using this as one example.
yeah.
It's not the only one, but you know, it's like probably one of the biggest like negative
But
examples for
who is
social
it?
media.
Who is it bad for? What is who is it? Is it bad for the government to have the
I think it's
like that kind of
bad just
situation
for
because they don't have as
society
much control?
in so much that it allows the spread of misinformation much easier than it's ever been, you know. So, you know,
I don't
there's
know.
obviously facts in life and then there's opinions. And so, you know, the misinformation to me is when you
But
just have
most
things
of
that are factually
politics
wrong.
is just opinions. So spreading political ideas is kind of every politician's goal.
Hmm.
Like it's just whether or not they're convincing or not, or they have enough sway. Yeah, it's interesting. I just don't know if the world is doomed or if people just are interested in complaining about stuff that they don't have control over and they act like they should have control over it. Like they go like we should regulate this or we should do this or that, and maybe that's true, but I'm just not. They just say it. There's no evidence. I don't see the evidence for what a lot of people say.
Yeah, I think it's because most of the time people don't know what they're talking about, really. You know what I mean? Like they see like one or two news articles or some posts on Facebook, and then they just take that as the gospel and run with it, and they don't know the whole truth. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Which is something that people have done since the fucking beginning of time,
yeah.
probably. You know,
I
you just
think that
believe rumors and speculation, and if it reinforces your own beliefs, then you're gonna really believe it, right? Because you're always looking for validation of what you
yeah.
believe to be true. So I think that social media, it's just created a way for people to get larger echo chambers across you know, the country basically that you didn't have access to before it was like you had your group of friends, you guys got together on the weekend, drank some beers and complained about the government, and then you went to work or whatever and didn't reconvene until the following weekend. Now that group of people you're talking about is potentially thousands of people that you've connected with over whatever social media platforms you're using. So it's just created a bigger magnification of
But it,
these like social
yeah,
groups.
but it's also done the same thing for everything positive that's come out of
Yeah,
social media,
exactly.
like
That's what I mean. Social media is
massive
like a positive.
organization. Yeah,
It's a positive and negative. Like it keeps people connected
it's
and
just another
together.
technology that that is not that has emergent consequences that we genuinely don't understand and we probably won't ever understand unless we live to be very old, like hundreds of years old. Otherwise we're always going to think that like there's a problem to be solved, but it might be that it's working very well. It's just we're in the beginning stages when a lot of things are unstable
Yeah.
and the technology will end up being force for good, or it won't be, and we'll all die, but you're not in control of any of it. So I'm curious what people think they can do about it, other than using the government to force regulations on things they don't understand at all, which probably won't work out very well at all, or to just kill people who do things they don't like. Like if you don't like, what a big corporation's doing, like, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah. Just
Nothing.
don't spend your money with them if you're believe so firmly. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure. Of
I feel like if
course.
people just learned to engage with the things that they enjoyed and just didn't worry about the things they didn't, things would be
Yeah,
fine
it's just
for the
interesting.
most
I
part.
think it's because I listen to academics, and the problem with listening to academics is they need a reason to exist. And part of the reason to exist is to try to point out flaws and point out
Mm-hmm.
problems for them to solve with their brains. And but the studies are very difficult to accomplish. There's like, you'd have to really, really um like, the shit's so new. Like
That's what I say. I
you
was just
just
about to
don't
say that
you
it's
don't
so
know.
new.
You just don't know. You're just doomsaying. You're just saying everything's gonna be fucked. But everyone's doing fucking better than ever. It's
Yeah.
crazy. So
Like, but
what's so bad?
every generation says that about the new generation is, oh,
Yeah,
this
that's something to do
generation
with it.
is disrespectful and they're gonna doom us. They're lazy, blah blah blah. But it's like that's what your
Too
fucking
bad.
parents said about your
Yeah.
generation, and then their parents said about theirs. It's just everybody thinks their generation's the best, and that things are always
Ugh.
getting worse. Like that's just like, I don't know. It's
Maybe it's just a reflection of their lives. As you
I
get
think
older,
so.
your life gets shittier. Your ingrained habits are informing your externally you're just externalizing your own psychology on everybody else.
Well, I think that's what it is too. Is like now we, with social media particularly, you have like kind of a microphone, right? You can be negative and share it with everybody, like we're doing right
I have a
now.
microphone. I have two microphones.
but
You only have
uh,
one.
but I think a lot of people are just dissatisfied with their lives, right? So they just want to complain about stuff online, and other people are going to agree with them because there's other people who feel similar. I think for the most part, if people are
It's like
content with
social.
their lives, they're just busy living their lives. They're not going to be the people online throwing a fit that the new Star Wars sucked and now they want to fucking kill the director, or
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like it's just people are getting so ridiculous, and I think it's just because they don't have anything else to occupy their time with, and they're kind of miserable. So they just
Maybe.
have to focus that negativity and energy somewhere, and
Yeah.
unfortunately, it just comes out with people lashing out and bitching about everything.
Can't we all just get along?
Right? Or just don't engage with things that you don't like. Like if for a movie, for example, you watch the movie, you would be like, that wasn't for me. I didn't like it for X, Y, and
Yeah, you
Z,
don't have to
and
go
then you
around
move on
telling
with your
everybody.
life.
Yeah.
You don't get online and then go hop on a fucking forum and then start sending death threats to people involved with the production of the
Whoa.
film.
That's
Like it's a
escalation.
fucking movie. It's a work of fiction.
Yeah, calm the fuck down.
Chill out. Like
Speaking of
that's
chilling out, no, go
oh,
ahead.
I was gonna say that's what's so interesting about like the video game industry and community. Like it's the most
Yeah.
toxic fucking group of people.
They're so
Because
entitled.
yeah, that's the problem. It's like if you didn't
Crazy.
like the game, then just don't play it. And then maybe if they do a sequel, be like, I'm not gonna pick this one up because the last one wasn't for me. It's just instead they just have to get online and complain about everything and review bomb stuff, and it's just
Or like demand that they change the price of something.
yeah.
Or like, if you don't like the price, don't buy it. Also, you probably don't have any fucking money. Like, stop buying shit you don't need and calm the fuck down.
It's kind of an entitled thing, but when people complain about like the price of video games, right? Like Sony has started charging $70 for like PS5 games, and everybody's freaking out. And I'm like, well, inflation exists, so you're actually still spending less money technically than you were even 10 years ago because the inflation rate has risen so much for the
Well, for
dollar.
some reason, the video game industry has price fixed their games for the last 20 years.
That's what I
It
mean. So it's
makes
like they're
no sense.
inevitably going to
No
go
other
up.
industry has done that.
Mm-hmm.
So you're just lucky that they found a price point that generally has worked. But the technology that it takes to generate a PS5 game is not the same technology that it takes to generate a fucking PS4 game.
Mm-hmm.
So you should just buy it. And let's say it's $70 and nobody wants to buy it, they'll have to drop the
Yeah,
price
they'll put it
or
on sale.
reduce the labor it
Mm-hmm.
takes them to generate those games. They'll have to figure it out. They'll have to, like, either it actually has to be 70 or else they can't make the game, or they can lower the price because it's their margins can be taken down a little bit. It's just weird. Yeah, I heard that with one of the games, Horizon Zero Dawn, they complained so much about the PS5 version being 70 that they were saying that the PS4 version could be upgraded for free.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, great, just buy the PS4 version.
Yeah,
Like if they're going to give
I
it
was to
that,
say it's kind of an entitlement thing, but I'm like, if you're complaining about video games, for example, going up $10, then clearly
you can't afford
you
it.
shouldn't be spending that much money on video games. Like if you're so financially strapped that a $10 increase on a game is gonna like break you, then you have some other priorities that
Yeah.
I feel like you need to sort out. Um,
Yeah,
that that's all I
probably.
can think. I'm like, well, maybe you shouldn't be playing that many video games then. If
Well,
like
play less
if you're
games
freaking out about
or
them.
share. There's
Yeah.
sharing available. You can still buy discs and share them with each other. And there's still, I think PS4s, you can still like share and watch people play. And there's just so much to it. I don't know. It
Or
doesn't
just
matter.
buy an Xbox and subscribe to Game Pass, and then you pay the
Yeah.
$15 a month, and you get access to
And then soon
fucking
you can get
hundreds of
access to
stuff.
all the Blizzard shit because that's a
Yep,
whole big
Activision
thing.
Blizzard. The Call of Duty will
Yeah.
be on there before you know it. Probably in the next
Yeah.
couple of years, you'll have Call of Duty on there every year.
Yeah. It's so interesting. Such a massive, massive company,
Yeah,
Microsoft.
yeah, oh yeah, dude. Microsoft is just they're gonna own like half the fucking video game industry at the rate they're going.
Yeah.
It's kind of
Yeah.
crazy. It's like
Maybe more
they're
than
at this
half.
point now where it's like you might as well just buy an Xbox. Like that's like the company
Just give in.
that you want to invest in. Yeah.
Yeah, you have
I,
tons of
you know,
access.
what? Speaking of this acquisition rate, so because I've been listening to a couple of video game podcasts, and that's like been the news for the last week. As soon as
Yep.
Microsoft announced that their intention to buy Activision, that's like all everybody's talking about, and then everybody's talking about how it's bad for the industry because of consolidation and it's potentially a monopoly. And everybody's suddenly a fucking lawyer that
And an
understands all of this
economist.
stuff, and I'm like, well, Microsoft probably has the best fucking lawyers in the industry probably at their disposal. So I'm sure that they went over this deal with them to make sure that it's not some kind of monopoly, that it's not going to be some kind of fucking issue with the whatever regulation stuff that they have to pass. But um also I'm just like I can't find a reason. Like everybody keeps saying that it's bad for the industry, the consolidation, but then I'm like, but why? It just makes it easier. Like if three or four companies, other than like it's slowly removing competition, right? Which competition breeds typically innovation. But it's like if aside from that, I don't really. It just makes it easier because you're like, oh, now I can just buy this console and I'm gonna have access to all these games now. And the more companies they buy, the more games I'm gonna have access to through this console. If anything, it just reduces how much shit you got to buy because unless you really need to play like your Sony exclusives, then you would have to buy a PlayStation. Um, so it's interesting. Like there's some people who celebrate it and other people who are like treating it like some kind of harbinger for the end of the fucking video game industry. It's like, well, it seems like so far every time that Microsoft's bought a studio, they just give them a bunch of money and tell them to make what they want to make. They haven't been like making them do anything. Also, what are they going to do different for Activision? That's not like Activision has almost all of its studios making Call of Duty every year. Either that's going to keep happening or Microsoft's going to be like, hey, like, why don't you guys go work on some other games now? We'll throw some extra money at these guys, and maybe they don't have to have Call of Duty come out every single year. They can maybe spread it out to every other year or something and give them a little more time to work on it and free people up to do other stuff. So, what does concern me is when you have, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but there's this company called Tencent, which is this big Chinese conglomerate that's like slowly going through and like buying up all these video game companies. And that makes me nervous just because China is a communist dictatorship that disappears people and has really strong censorship. So I would rather Microsoft be buying stuff in the video game industry than Tencent.
I would too. I've heard a lot of interesting things about China, like buying up stuff and
yeah, they're just making investments in all these video game developers and companies and publishers. They're like kind of seeding themselves in everywhere.
They've also been investing in countries.
Mm-hmm.
And sorry, there's a noise back here. Is my door locked?
Oh, like you're asking, like I can see. I don't know.
Can you tell? Am I being murdered?
If there's a noise, it's not coming through. Like I'm not hearing any.
No, you can't. It's like it sounds like when your refrigerator clicks.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it sounds like, but whatever.
It'd be crazy if somebody broke into your house and we just watched it all live here.
I wouldn't like that.
I mean, I wouldn't either. It'd be kind of terrifying, actually.
Yeah.
To watch unfold.
But you could call the police from your house,
I could. Right.
and you have my address. So
That's true. I do.
you know, like an hour later, they'd find my body.
Yeah, if they can find somebody to fucking help you.
Ooh,
Sorry. He's 8th on the queue for getting assistance.
Yeah. No, I don't know what you're talking about. Podcasting it can't be that important. Yeah,
anyway.
it's crazy. Whatever. Video games. I'm excited about Dying Light and Elden Ring.
And those both come out next month. Very soon.
I'm grateful to live in an age that I can fucking waste my time with these things and not accomplish anything.
Yeah, I mean, if I didn't play video games, I was like, man, I would probably have written like twice as many books as I've written, I guess. Like, I don't like what else would I have done to fill in this fucking time with? Just reading and writing more. I don't know. Watch.
Yeah, like movies. If there was no electricity or something and you just had to rely on the old fashioned entertainment.
Like, what the fuck did people do 50 years ago? Seriously.
That's
why everybody was so fucking thin back then. They were just like outside doing shit.
Sports.
Yeah. Now there's a bunch of fucking fat, lazy motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Thanks, technology.
Something will happen to fucking bring us back down to reality.
You think so?
Yeah.
All we need is just like a big some kind of EMP blast that just wipes all of electronics out.
Yeah, it would really fuck everybody. If you didn't live on a farm, you'd be fucked.
Oh yeah. I fucking love electricity. I like can't handle if my internet goes down for a couple hours. I'm like, what the fuck, man? I can't do anything.
Yeah, like what are you gonna do?
I can't stream any shows because I don't like. I own like a small selection of like DVDs and Blu-rays, just a few. Like, I mean, it's just stuff that I haven't been able to find digitally to buy.
Yeah.
But then that, like, I own everything digitally or I stream it. So it's like without internet, I have access to nothing. I am nothing.
You are nothing without the internet. Whatever.
Yeah. Whatever indeed. Have you seen any new movies or read any exciting new books or anything lately? It's been a couple weeks since we did a show.
It has been a little while.
You texted me, I was like, oh fuck, it's been like a couple weeks.
Did we intro this show?
No, I don't think so. People know what they're in for.
That's the funny thing about it is like you can't get to us without fucking knowing what it is.
Right? You gotta find the podcast.
Like if somebody's somehow listening to this without knowing what it is, then you didn't look at any of the fucking titles.
They just close their eyes and tap the screen a bunch on their phone and then finally hit the play button.
I guess Spotify randomizes stuff, but it doesn't randomize it only randomizes music because that's where the money is. There's no money in podcasts, at least not for us.
No, not for us. If we were Joe Rogan, we would
Joe fucking Rogan podcast Spotify. Yeah. What were we talking about?
I was asking if you had watched any new movies or anything lately.
I saw Sing 2. I saw Spider-Man. I've been watching Letterkenny. I've been playing Dark Souls 2.
Dark Souls 2 is like the worst one.
I don't agree, but I just wanted something different. I got sick of playing Dark Souls 3. I'm excited about Elden Ring, so I wanted to play a Dark Souls game.
Okay.
And I don't really like one.
Did you ever really go back and play through the first one?
I tried and I didn't like it. I got stuck and I got places and I just got like to parts where it's also very confusing. And I didn't want to go through and like try to learn everything, where you're like, you should go to that area with this thing. And there's like ghosts, but you can't hit them with your normal weapon. So you have to get this special fucking situation.
Yeah, you either got to get one of the ghost blades from them or there's like an item you have to use to like allow yourself. That's like one of the later areas. Like I never go to that area early on in the game.
Well, you're not supposed to, but
you can, but yeah.
You have to learn these things as you go through your life.
I'm just saying, with how much time you dedicate to it, I'm surprised you didn't just sit down and be like, this is the time I'm going to play through the game. And then just, use a walkthrough to kind of point you in the right direction. There's like a lot of walkthroughs that like just kind of lay out like, oh, this.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do all the walkthroughs because I will when I'm really like trying to figure it out. But when I just want to play a Dark Souls game, I don't know.
Well, what I mean is like you don't need to follow a walkthrough like word for word. Just look and see like, oh, okay, so I should go to this area first and then do this area. Not necessarily be like, okay, go up into the tunnel. There's gonna be two guys, take them out,
Yeah.
and you're gonna make a right like that. I wouldn't say follow a guide.
I mean,
like
I got
that.
pretty far in Dark Souls 1. I did play it a lot, but I just didn't beat it.
Demon Souls is where it's at. You got to get a PS5 so you can play that fucking Demon Souls.
Yeah, I played Demon Souls before. I just
That's
didn't
my
get that
favorite
far
one
in it.
still. Like the remake is fucking awesome. None of them have really captured my attention like Demon Souls. I think it's just because it was the first one, I think for a lot of people, the first Dark Souls is like their favorite one because it was their first experience.
Well, Dark Souls 2 was my first Dark Souls, so I very much enjoy it.
There you go. See, that's why.
But it is very clunky and it's not very responsive. Like you try to roll out of the way and it doesn't fucking work very well sometimes in 2, even in the remastered version. But just playing it for fun.
Yeah.
But Dying Light's going to be out on the 4th, I think, so that might be good.
Yeah, that's pretty.
Although it's really probably not going to be as good on the PS4. It's really, I think, set up for the 5.
Oh yeah, it'll probably just run at a lower resolution and have long load times and all that jazz.
Ugh. Fuck that
shit. What are you gonna do?
I don't know. Probably
just play it. I mean, you don't know any different, so
No.
What's hard is if you started playing on a new console and then like something happened and you had to go back to playing on a PS4, that would be the difference. Because then you'd be like, "Fuck,
I'd kill myself.
How did I fucking play games on this thing before?" That's how I feel every time I try to go back and play any like older thing. I'm just like, this is too slow.
Yeah. Well, it's
so blurry. I don't remember it looking this blurry before.
Yeah,
it's running at like 720p.
Ugh, fucking bullshit. Old school shit.
It's not 4K and 60 frames per second with a 5-second load time. I'm not interested.
Fucking vintage fucking games. We're so pretentious.
Oh yeah.
Ugh, I'm tired.
Oh yeah. Well, it's good. You did work today, so
yeah.
I did today.
Actually,
I just played.
Kind of worked every day for the last 6 days, something like that.
Shit, you have like tomorrow off then?
I have tomorrow off.
Oh, very nice.
And then back to work.
I do not miss retail. Just having like that ridiculous schedule where you had to work, where you never had the same.
Well, and I opened some days, I closed some days. One of the days I just came in, worked a half day, and then came in again at 8 to help close. That was my other day off, supposedly. But I got stuff done.
Do you live fairly close to where you work? Because okay, I was gonna say that would piss me off having to only drive back and forth multiple times a day.
I'm only like 10 minutes away, so I can just get there and do shit. It's not that
we live out outside of Eugene. It's like a 25-mile drive, one way.
Yeah.
So
well, that's like the trade-off if you live in a more rural area is like you get the benefits of like less people, more cost effective, but you have to drive.
Yep.
The whole point of cities is it's right there. Everything's right there. Cities are more efficient.
Sort of.
Well, like technically, everything gets done in cities.
Yeah.
City is like where all innovation happens, essentially, throughout time. Cities are like the best thing for humanity, and they're the worst thing for individuals.
Yeah, Eugene is like the perfect size town to me, where it's like there's a lot going on, but it's not overwhelming. Whereas Portland is always like, I mean, I've been there like a handful of times. Do you usually to like go to a concert or whatever or something, but it always just feels kind of overwhelming. But it's probably because I'm just not familiar with the.
I felt the same way, but after 5-6 years or whatever I've been here, it's not that big. It's you can get to one end to the other in like 45 minutes or an hour.
Especially when you compare it to like LA or San Francisco.
That's what I mean. Yeah, like I mean, it's kind of. It has a lot of similarities in that like you end up, pretty decent sized highways, but we don't have like 4-lane one-way highways. Like it's like 2 or 3 lanes for the most part. Every once in a while you'll find a 4-lane highway, but it's pretty rare. Whereas I've been to LA and sometimes it's just fucking cars forever on the fucking road and they're all going one direction and they're all driving 90 miles an hour. And I don't know how any of it works.
Yeah.
But everybody's,
well, I think too, like when you move somewhere, it's like you sort of exist within a smaller ecosystem in the city. It's like
Yeah, you just stay
you
in
go to
your
the
little
same
areas.
stores every
Of
week and you
course.
go, you're just going back and forth to work. So it's like you kind of just have like your own little
Yeah.
hemisphere that you exist in.
You
It's not
s-
like you're
yeah.
driving around Portland every day.
In Eugene, I definitely like when I lived there, sometimes would just go like to eat in Eugene instead of Springfield. Like you
Mhm.
can venture out pretty easily in Eugene and Springfield. In Portland, you have to kind of make a day out of it. Like if you're going to go to this one restaurant you heard about and it's like you won't go downtown, so that's not a good example. But like, in Beaverton or something, you're going to
Mhm.
take 40 minutes to get there, and then you're going to be there for an hour or two, and then you're going to take 40 minutes to get back, but you might run into traffic, so that's another 20-30 minutes, so that's 5 hours right there out of your day.
Jesus.
And that was just so you could go eat at that fucking place, so
Yeah, you could have just stayed home and cooked your own food, saved yourself four and a
yeah,
half
or like
hours.
went to the same Chinese place I go that's 5 minutes away and bring it back home and fucking eat it
Yeah, there you go.
and stay the fuck home. Yeah. I
Yeah.
like I know my area and I'm
Mhm.
good with that. I don't have to map much in my area. But if I go, out to somebody else's place, I gotta go get on the Googles.
Google Maps, that shit. Yeah, Google
Yeah.
Maps is my best friend. Again, like, how did people get around 30 years ago
I
when you
don't
didn't have
remember.
GPS in your car?
I mean, I didn't have
Fuck.
GPS but I lived in Coos Bay first. I
Yeah,
knew
just a
by
little
the
small
time
ass
I'm
town.
old enough to
Yeah.
drive, I already knew the area like fine. And if you'd get lost sometimes, then you just figure it out. It's like do a couple circles. Um, and then um, and then I went to Eugene, Springfield as more of an adult. I could learn the area. Springfield's really easy because it's just numbers and letters.
Hmm.
And I was a delivery driver the first like year or two I lived in Springfield, so I learned Springfield really easily. Eugene, I still fucking don't know very well, but like it's not that hard. Um, and then eventually Google Maps was just there, and now I'm in Portland. And I've had situations where Google Maps stops working, and I literally freak out, have like a panic attack, and have to pull off because I don't know where the fuck I am.
And I'm the same way. Like, once it's like, oh, Maps is disconnected, and you're
Yeah,
like,
and you're like, what?
fuck, what the fuck am I
What the
supposed to
fuck?
do?
How do I fucking what? I just get pissed. I'm like,
Or
this
you,
fucking
you
bullshit.
turn early on accident, and then it's like rerouting, and you're like, hurry up and reroute. I got to make sure that I'm going the right
Well,
way
and there's
still.
some places in Portland, like if you take an exit, you're 30 minutes from the next
Yeah, that
right
sucks.
way. Like
Hmm.
I've done that when I'm like, oh, there goes I have fucking 40 minutes out of my day when my house was right there and I just missed it. And now there's no turn off for like
Yeah.
20 minutes. It's yeah, sometimes you just do it. You just deal with it.
Well, I mean, you know how
Welcome to
much
adulthood.
you briefly considered just fucking flipping a U and driving
Yeah.
over the
Yeah.
divider and
Yeah.
just
Breaking
fucking
all these
turning
rules.
around.
Oh man, people drive like fucking idiots out here.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's way worse here than in Eugene for sure.
Oh, I bet.
Just the more people, the more, sketchy shit. I see people go through red lights. Like I used to like you'd see somebody go through like it's yellow and then it's red and they're there, right?
Mhm.
And you like nobody was going anyway. In Portland, it's red, it's red, it's red. Now they're going. And you're like, you were way down the road. You saw it turn red. You decided to put on your accelerator like way instead of your brake. And you're just going through that fucking light. Like these assholes. And then people just fucking pass you going nuts. And it's like they'll just go, 60 miles an hour pass you and it's a red light and they're just like stop there. You're like, thanks for going
That's my
real
favorite
fucking
is when somebody
fast.
passes you and then you just catch up to them at the next red light and you're like, cool, I hope
Yeah.
that was worth it,
Yeah.
speeding past me.
Yeah.
And really got you ahead.
Yeah. People are fucking dumb. But
It's
I'm not
interesting
very smart.
how people are so impatient and aggressive when they're driving. Like, you're driving a weapon. This thing weighs tons and you're
People don't get
driving
it.
it. It's like theoretically when people should be their most calm
Yeah.
and like conscientious of their surrounding, but nobody is. Everybody's just in
They
a
should
fucking hurry.
they should force like a Matrix style fucking spinal tap when you're in your car. And it's
Right.
like a mixture of Ritalin for like concentration and awareness, but also like Xanax. So you're
Right, yeah.
super fucking chill. And then it's just short last, like really quick half-lives. So like it just works while you're driving, and everyone's just like a little robot.
But then people will get addicted to it and they would just go sit in their cars. They could chill out.
And then do all their like work.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
do their
They're just like,
homework,
I'm getting really
masturbate.
stressed out. I'm just gonna sit in my car and do some work on my laptop.
Just rip your seat out of your car and bring it in the
Yeah.
house so you can fucking sit in it and watch TV.
That's the future. All of our chairs are gonna have built-in like little fucking drug injectors just so you can constantly keep anti-anxiety medication pumping through your veins.
When you're living in VR and you have to like, have you ever seen the movie Surrogates?
No, I've heard of it, but I don't think I
No,
didn't watch it
it's
all.
pretty fun. It's a Bruce Willis movie. And these people are
Oh no,
they
I have
built
seen that. Never mind.
robots. You probably have, yeah.
Yeah, I
They
have
built
seen
these
it.
robots, and instead of like you live in your house in a VR suit, and you
Mhm.
control a robot that can look like anybody, but it's 100% android. Like it looks exactly like a human. It does what humans can do.
Isn't the whole plot of the movie where he eventually like gets out of it and like actually goes outside, basically?
Yeah, by the end of it, all of them get turned off, and so everyone has to go back into the real world, which is fucking stupid because, like, well, for one, you could just bring them all back online by like rebooting the system or something.
Mhm.
Like you already invented it, you could bring them back. But like it would be way safer if like a lot of things you did were like via like a suit you bring out, like you still go out in the world, you just do it in a safe ass way.
Mhm.
But obviously there would be limitations to that. But it's a fun movie. I forget why I brought it up, because that's the future.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about being constantly injected with drugs to keep you calm, and then that was when you brought
Yeah,
it.
so when you're living in the VR system, you have to have like your food injected, you have to have like your muscles stimulated, you'll have to have like drugs that like allow you to stay up longer so you can enjoy it longer. I'm excited for such things.
Yeah, I
How do we-
am totally down for a future where we don't really have to go out that much. Like,
Oh,
I want to
really?
get a job that's remote. Like, I like being able to be at home in my own office space and get work
Yeah.
done. Like when I've worked from home before, like we had some when we got some snow, it was a couple weeks ago now, but like they just closed our clinic for a couple of days and we just did everything like through televisits because we do a lot of televisits anyway because of
Yeah.
COVID. And so they were like, oh, we'll just have everybody stay home. You just work from home. And then, so you just like I could transfer calls to my phone, my personal phone from the office. And so you just answer the phone and you just do it. Like you literally don't even need to be in the clinic right now. I mean, since
Unless
everything's
you're a
done through
patient.
video. Well, but even the patients don't have to because they can just do their visits over their computers or their
Yeah,
phones
I
or
guess
their tablets.
it's a lot of it's mental health, so it's a
Yeah,
lot
it's
of
all mental
talking.
health. So it's just therapy.
It's just
So you can just
fucking
sit down
get
and do your
over it.
therapy
Just get
session.
over it, fucking queer.
Yeah, life's hard. Fucking deal with it.
Yeah, fucking. Why don't you? Oh, I'm gonna kill myself.
Either suck it up or kill yourself. Like those are your two options.
Wow. I mean, it really does come down to that.
It does. You're either gonna get up and live another day, or you're gonna kill yourself.
Yeah, pussy.
So every day that you get up and you do what you got to do,
Yeah.
give yourself a little pat on the back because you could have killed yourself. You could have finally thrown in the towel and been done.
I've been trying to understand why anybody gives a shit about life, like other people's lives. Like, there's this concept that life is precious, and I'm just not sure if it's true.
No, I don't think it is at all. It's so common. It's precious to your life is precious to you because it's your life. But
Well,
why
and your
would anybody else
family and
really
like and other
care?
people like that have a positive impact on you, like you care about their lives. But like it's just an interesting concept. Like why do we stop people from dying? Like why do we I was talking to somebody about all these people dying from fentanyl and all the money that the government puts into drug enforcement, right? For fentanyl specifically. And hundreds of thousands of people are dying from fentanyl every year, overdosing. And I was like, why does the government care? And the best argument and that he brought up was because the Western world relies on productivity, and the government relies on its people. It needs people to survive. It needs them to be alive. It needs them to generally be able to go and do work, and it needs them to make money so that they can tax them. And if you have a bunch of people dying, then they can't pay taxes. They are not productive. They
Yeah, you got to feed the machine, man. That's what
yeah,
it all is.
it's
We're all
very
here to feed the
interesting.
machine.
So it's like, other than the kind of economically, it kind of makes sense. Although I
But
don't
what
know
does
if
that
those
say about
people
the,
would.
well, what about like homeless drug addicts? They're not contributing anything in terms of paying taxes or doing anything productive for society in terms of like working a job
But they can
that
vote.
helps. If they're just sitting on
They
the
probably
street
don't.
smoking meth and panhandling, they're not really doing anything.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, is life intrinsically important? Like in and of itself, things should just be alive.
I mean,
I don't know why that would be an argument. I don't know what the argument is for it. Like, there's reasons not to go around killing everybody, and there's reasons um to stop people from killing people, but I don't know if there's much of a reason to stop people from killing themselves.
I don't really
Not that
feel
you
like
can anyway. I mean, it's like a useless rule to like say you can't kill
it's
yourself.
illegal to kill yourself.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I mean, nobody goes to jail because they tried to kill themselves. They go to a hospital. Um, there's no like like, what are you in for? Oh, I tried to commit suicide a couple times and now I'm in fucking hardcore prison where I can kill myself real easy. So it's just not
Now I have an
it's not
extra
like the
reason to
same
kill
thing.
myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, suicide's an interesting thing because I feel like people have bleeding hearts about it, but I'm like, I don't know, man. If I like actually Vanessa and I were talking about this earlier, and I was like, man, if I ever did something where I was gonna go to prison for like life or something, I would just kill myself because I know me and I would not handle prison well at all. Like I am not a tough guy. Like I would get raped every day probably. So I would just kill myself. Like if some horrible thing happened, they're like, sorry, you've been found guilty of fucking murder or something and you're gonna go to prison for life. I'd be like, well, I'm gonna fucking kill myself as soon as I leave this courtroom. So see ya. Um, or if I was like a homeless person that just had no hope, I just kill myself.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
we've talked
mean,
about that before.
it's
I've heard that. I'm
like
yeah.
life is precious, but at the same time,
Maybe
it's
it's
so common that we like we like place too much value in it, I think, when we're thinking
but
about
like,
other people.
yeah, I guess it's like I hear people caring about other people like in other places, and it's like, or do you really care? I don't know if they really care. I don't know if it's just all virtue signaling. It's all like, I'm a good person. I care about all these other people. It's like, I think it's a very feminine tendency to want to keep everybody alive, because it's like the one thing, if you're a mom, like that's ingrained, keep your kid alive. And if you just apply that to everyone else, you're just like, I don't care what they've done. I have, unconditional love for everyone in the whole fucking world, and I also want all the animals to be alive forever. Like, that's not how it works. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, how are you?
Well, it's
I don't
impossible to
get how
have
that's a
like
good concept. Like, isn't it
because
better to
people are
just
dying
be
every moment.
realistic? Like, just be realistic. Like, you pretty much have nothing to do with everybody else's life. You're not making decisions that really affect other people very much.
No, other than like your direct family members. Like if if you choose to get up and
Even then.
go to your job and pay your bills, that has a direct correlation to the quality of their lives. Um, but
Yeah, like if you have a family, but like, I don't really affect like my mom's life much. Like
yeah,
actually, like, I mean, I do maybe a little bit in the psychological sense, but like, she just goes to work every day. Like, I don't have nothing to do with it.
yeah.
It's fucking weird.
No, it's interesting
We
to
have
think about. Like I've thought about before. I'm like, what if I died? Like, who would really care? I'm like, there's like my friends and my family that would care, but I feel like the only person who would really have a very large impact on is Vanessa because we live together and we
sure.
share all of our, our house, all of our bill, like all this
Yeah.
stuff we're intrinsically tied together, financially from all these things and this ownership. So it's like if I died, it would have a huge impact on her. But like my mom lives in Boston, she would be sad. She'd cry a lot.
Yeah.
And, after however long would learn to live with
Yeah.
it. My friends would probably be sad, do some crying, and then everybody just moves on. Like life is is so inconsequential in the grand scheme, right? Because there's billions of lives. Time is gonna fucking stretch on for God knows how long for humanity. You're like an insignificant fucking speck on the lens of God's eyeball. Like you don't really matter in the grand
Do we have
scheme.
specks on our eyeballs? That's scary. I don't like the concept of that. I can see specks on your glasses, but although glasses are
Just like
specks.
you're just a minuscule fuck. I was actually talking to a coworker of mine because she has a couple of kids, and I was like, like I think the one of the biggest mistakes that parents make with children that just does not prepare them for the real world is like telling them that they're special. Like, oh, you're special. You can do anything you want. It's like, no, you're just another human being. You have some qualities that you excel at more than others, and you have qualities that you fucking suck at more, like less than others. So really there's going to be like three things that you can do well enough to create a life around them. But realistically, you're going to go to school and you're going to work a job that you hopefully can tolerate to pay your bills. And you're most likely going to spend most of your life in debt
Yeah.
because, medical
Oh, that's
bills
not
or
good.
whatever.
That's not necessarily true. You don't have to be in debt. I'm not in debt. Kids don't have to be in debt
Most
just
I said
because.
most likely. I think most Americans are in a
Of course
decent,
they
not
are.
like a
That's
ton of debt, but a
statistical,
decent.
but
Yeah.
like telling a kid you're likely to be in debt is like just go into debt, fuck it.
Yeah.
Which is not a great idea, I don't think.
No, I get
Um,
why. I get why.
I
Like
just
on
think
a
it's like it's not like be realistic. Like I don't know. Like I don't know. I don't know what I'm
like
talking
I
about.
want to be the president. I'm like, well, only one fucking dude gets that job every 4 years, and
Well,
you got to suck a lot of dicks and kill a lot of people to get there.
nobody should want to be a president. That's a fucking psychopath. Shoot that fucking kid right in the face. I want to be the president. You have no idea what you're talking about. Fucking grow up.
Why don't you start by, just graduating high school first? Why don't we start on the fucking ground level here?
Yeah.
But
I used to be like this really big proponent of free will, but I think part of the problem is people thinking that they have free will. And the more you think you have free will, the more you fucking force your will on others. And I think, and on like the world, and like you are confused when things don't work out, and you're confused when shit happens, and which is the same as the last thing I said. But
mhm.
it's like, I think like there's a good perspective philosophically where you're you're kind of accepting reality and yourself and your place in it, and in that you do as much as you can that's good for yourself and others, and it's very, very difficult, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's the whole, like, I mean, it's kind of stoic, it's kind of Buddhist, it's kind of it's kind of like not a lot would get done if everyone actually thought that way, and humanity exists in its state because it really, really tries hard to do things. Like we really like work hard to like solve all these fucking problems, but we mostly just like don't need to. We don't need to do almost all the things we do. We really just need food, shelter, community, like, sex, and that's it. Why do we do everything else other than to get those things?
Yeah.
And to be like hierarchies, are a big deal. People want to be they want the pick of the litter when it comes to mates and stuff. So all this competition leads us toward where we are. But it's just interesting as a person. I guess it's comforting to accept where I am by adopting a philosophy of acceptance.
Yeah, you have to accept that you're a prisoner of our society because we have all these
Or just
rules.
life.
So you don't really, there's a lot of rules you
But I
can't
don't really
break.
see it as a
Otherwise, it's
prison.
gonna
I
ruin your
see it
life.
as like if you think that you should not be in the prison, you're wrong. Like it's not a prison because there's no prison. But the idea that you should have utopia or this life of some sort is an expectation that is never going to occur.
That's an entitlement, right? I mean, like you can use
Could be, yeah.
you could use like the masking thing as like a recent example, right? Do some people feel like that they get to not have to abide by a mandate, right? Like when you're out in public. Why do some people feel like, oh, I'm special enough to not have to wear a mask in this store because of whatever fucking reason that you have? It's like an entitlement. There's most people I think are like, this is the fucking rules for this place. I'm gonna wear it whether I like it or not. But then you have those people who are like, my personal freedoms and I have rights and I am special enough to not have to follow the rules that everybody else is following for the general safety of society.
Yeah. I feel
Um,
like I just read something recently. I forget what news program, but it was kind of the CDC talking about how if you're not wearing an N95, it's not really doing much. And they were
yeah.
kind of admitting that. And that kind of made me think, well, that's kind of what I've been thinking the whole time. Not that it didn't do nothing, but that it wasn't really um, this like wall of protection around your face. Um, so it kind of lessens the arguments for wearing like cloth masks and those non medical masks.
hmm
Since you brought it up, but that's whatever. But yeah,
Well, and that
I
was just
guess
my example because that's just like the most
yeah,
recent example of people who would just feel like that they don't have to abide by the commonality because they believe themselves to be above it, I guess, or
yeah. But
special enough to exist outside of it.
I was thinking, yeah, maybe they think they're special. I think they think they're smart, and I think that I don't know if anybody's that smart at all. Like if you wear one or you don't. Like if you wear one,
hmm
you're probably dumb, and if you don't wear one, you're probably fucking dumb. But everyone just thinks they're fucking right all the
Well, and
time.
that's when you have to make the decision, right? To when because we all exist in the society of America, and so that's where you have to make the decision, like, okay, this establishment has this rule or what this mandate's in place. Am I going to be somebody who is respectful enough to just abide by that, whether I like it or not, or do I want to be a disruptor for
Yeah,
whatever reason I have and not do it? So
yeah,
and then but then it's like those same people then are appalled when they get kicked out of a place or, like the police get involved or something. And then, have to, I've seen people like the police come and escort people out of stores because they refuse to wear a
hmm,
mask. And then the store calls the police and they come and escort them out because they're
yeah.
not following the mandates and the rules. And
But what happens when you find out that the masks are kind of bullshit?
I don't know. But I,
Don't you have to
but
get rid of the fucking mandate? Stop it.
Yeah. Well, but and then see, and that's the way we built our society. We built our society to be like, hey, we have these
Yeah,
organizations in the government to
yeah,
make
that's
these
true.
rules. So basically,
You
until
cede
the
your power.
government or in our case, OHA or the CDC is like, we've found through tests the masks pretty much are ineffective. So don't worry about it. Like just, travel outside at your own
Yeah,
risk and live your life.
yeah. I
So,
think it.
but until they say that, then we're just
Well, and
stuck
then when
doing this.
they threaten businesses with fines. That's the main thing. Is
Well, and see, and like I said, that's the way that
that's the way it
our
goes.
society has been constructed. So
Yeah,
whether you agree with it or not, that's the way it is. And so the only way you could change it, right, would be to you'd have to elect people into office
yeah,
who would then pose
yeah.
bills that would be like the
Or
state can no
yeah.
longer enact mandates on
Well,
businesses for
yeah.
health
Well, and I also
things.
think that the only reason they could get away with it is because of the emergency executive order feature of the governor. And I think after 2 years, it's not an emergency. I just don't see. It seems like there's just an unchecked amount of power there. Um, like at some point, you have 2 years just enact a law.
Mhm.
What have you been doing? Well, if it's really working, if it really makes sense, and we all agree, then enact a law in 2 years. But 2 years is not an emergency. Emergencies happen, pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Um, at least I would imagine. Like I could see like if you're at war, that's an emergency that lasts until the war is over, until you're not being invaded by other
Mhm.
countries. But I don't know how this is an emergency as opposed to like the just make a law or make a law about how hospitals work or something. Like if the worry is about hospitals, really, it's not really about fucking people going to fucking stores.
No, and that's
hospitals.
the only
So
worry really
figure it
is
out.
just that and I think that's the only reason that they still are trying to have these mandates in places. They're trying to find like any way they can to help
Yeah.
hospitals keep from being
But it's
overwhelmed
like,
with people showing up sick, you know?
yeah, but there was no getting around it. There was no getting around the hospitals being overwhelmed. And if people die because the hospitals are overwhelmed, welcome to fucking Earth. You
Yeah.
know, that's what happens. The government coming in and fucking with everybody in the economy and stuff is like, at some point, um, they need to be checked at some point.
Well, we're pretty
I'm not
much,
saying I know what I'm talking about, but
yeah, I feel like we're at the point
whatever.
now where it's like this is as good as it's gonna get until this thing burns out, you know? Like the people who were gonna get vaccinated have been vaccinated, the people who refuse are not gonna get it at this point, right? It's been readily available for so long. So it's like where we're at now is as good as it's gonna get. So it's like we either just keep doing what we're doing, waiting for it to end someday, or just lift
Yeah.
the mandates and just be like, well, we'll just fucking see what happens, I guess. Because
But
I think almost
the
everybody at this point is
yeah,
just sort of fatigued by it. They're just tired of it, and so that's where I'm at. I'm like, I don't know. I fucking got vaccinated. I got boosted. I did everything that the fucking CDC said. So what else am I supposed to do other than just keep wearing a mask until the mandate goes away? But like when they lifted the mandate, earlier last year in like June and July, I was like I was like, fuck yeah, I don't have to wear my mask anymore. Hell yeah. And then I didn't wear one for like a month and a half. And then the mandate came back. So then sadly, I just started putting
yeah.
it back on again. But
I
we're just at the
I
point
think,
where
well,
it's
and
not going to get
we have
better.
a different experience than other people in different states because the mandate is just in Oregon,
Yeah.
and other, New York or whatever. But other states don't have it, and I they aren't all dead.
Mm-hmm. Well,
So
right now it's
fucking
mostly
whatever.
just killing elderly people. So,
That's
fuck
all
them.
it was
They're already on
doing.
their way out the door anyway. So let's speed it along. That's what I say. I'm just
Back to the
kidding.
original who gives a shit about life type situation. And it's not like, yeah, and that's another thing, is like trying to keep old people alive. Like, it's not my job. It's not my job. It's not anybody's job. The only reason people give a fuck is to make money. I don't believe in people's ultimate innate altruism at all.
I don't either. People
The
always
only
are
amount of
doing something for a
altruism is
motive.
for your direct kin, direct bonded relationships, like really, really bonded relationships, you'll fucking die for.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, you don't give a fuck about other people. I don't believe it. I think people are full of shit, and they
I
have
agree.
an instinct to help people, but it isn't an instinct that comes from in like altruism out of selflessness. It comes from selfishness. It comes from them feeling good when they help people. It comes from the social reputation you get from helping people. It comes from uh the idea that you're helping people even though you don't have a clue. That's why, like, you give to charity and you feel all fucking good, but you don't even know what the fuck is going on. You don't even know if
You
that
can't
charity
even
is
prove
real.
that money is going to what they say it's going to. You
Well,
just
and
trust that it is.
yeah, it's like you just think that you're good and you tell everyone you're good and you get a fucking tax break. um
But see, you're
it's
doing it
just
for the tax
interesting.
break, aren't you? That's what I
Yeah,
like. That's why I agree. I don't think that they're, for the most part, like, unless you are, like you said, doing something for like a bonded person that you have
yeah,
genuine care for. I don't think people do anything out of selflessness.
yeah, and you barely do
Even
it for your
like religious
friends.
people who are like, oh, I'm trying to be good. It's like you're trying to be good because your idea is that you're doing good to get into heaven. So you're doing this
That's
so you can
selfish as
buy
fuck.
yourself an eternity in
Just
paradise.
We just need to admit the selfishness, and that would be good.
Mm-hmm.
and and then also admit that everyone dies. And why are you trying to cling to old grandma and try to get her to not die? She's fucking probably, like, I mean, even if you're doing okay, you're going to die soon. Like, just, I don't understand why there's this sadness to it when they're old. I get
Well, I
when,
think
like
it's only a
like if your
sadness.
mom dies, you should care. But
It depends on your level
yeah, and of course not
bonding,
like,
with your.
yeah,
I've never been close to any of my grandparents, so
yeah.
when they have died over the years, I've been like, oh, that
What,
bummer.
what
but it doesn't
Did you
sit with
really
me.
lose it, or are you just regretful that you didn't do enough while they were alive, which is really what most people do. Most people ignore the shit out of their old
Yeah.
people, and then they fucking die, and then they act like they're nostalgic about the past when they had like a trip with them or some shit.
Well, see, I've
Just
only
odd.
ever like
Just odd.
when I felt sad about like a great grandparent passing away or a grandparent, it's like I wasn't close to them. But then what you feel is guilt because you're like, I should feel sad because they're a blood relative
But you
and our
don't, so you
society
feel
has
guilty
taught
about
me
that.
that I should be sad about this. So it's not so much sadness that I felt, but like guilt over not feeling sad about it. And then, I move on. I don't really think about it
Yeah.
too much, but
I think the prison is culture and psychology. Like the real prison for humans is all of these fucking dumb thoughts that force you to be anxious, that force you to like think about your decisions, to feel guilty, to think that you should have done something different, to like maybe it propels you to do good things, but it also kind of can keep you from doing anything. Like, I
yeah.
don't know. It's like, what should you be doing with your life? And if you're depressed, there are like known ways to like try to fend off depression, because depression's really, really horrible. Um, and those are like exercise and like
Find
communities and
finding a
networks,
hobby is like the
um,
key, I feel like.
talking to
So
people
mhm.
about why you're depressed, hobbies, yeah, just like staying busy with things.
Well, whenever I've talked to people who
It's
are like
interesting.
dealing with a bout of depression, I always ask them like, "Oh, well, what do you do? Like, what do you do for fun? Like, what do you do when you're not at work?" And like most of them are like, "I don't know, I'm just sitting around." And
Yeah,
I'm like, well, that's the
stop it,
whole problem. That's part of your problem is that
go
you
on
got
a
to
walk.
find something to do. Like, start reading a book, start working on some kind of project. Go
Yeah,
fucking buy
distract
a
yourself.
model kit at the fucking store and spend
Yeah,
a couple hours a night working on building a model.
yeah,
Something to like.
distract yourself from life.
Exactly.
Life
That's
is
all
a
we're all trying
fucking,
to do is distract
yeah,
ourselves from fucking reality because
yeah, well, and
reality is a horrifying,
yeah, it's
oppressive
trying to kill
bitch.
you. It's interesting because it's like there are better and worse states for the individual, and better or worse states for societies and things, but um it's just interesting that we even give a fuck, that we even try to control things. We're just a very unique species. It really is complicated.
Well, I feel like we just have a lot of time on our hands and constant uh
Yeah, we the
our
time
constant
is,
contemplation of everything
yeah,
creates problems for us that
yeah,
sometimes don't actually exist, but they start to manifest because all you're doing is sort of using your free time to dwell on them,
yeah. Well, and we have these, like, we have culture, so we have language, so we have concepts for life and death and family and expectations and heroes and men and women and new concepts like cis and stuff like that. We just have all these concepts and we come up with all this new stuff to fucking worry about. It's very interesting. It's very complexity for complexity's sake. Like, because we don't have to fend for our food and our water, it's just there. Your life just becomes this fucking mess of like, what do you do with everything every
Exactly.
day?
Yeah, that's totally what
You
it
go, you
is,
got to
man.
have money so you can fucking be independent, I guess. And then you try to find jobs and you're like, I fucking suck. And or like, I'm gonna work really fucking hard. Like most people who make a lot of money work fuck tons of hours.
Mhm.
And that's great. That's perfectly fine. You get to do that. If you work two jobs or you work one job and you work like, 50, 60, 70, 80 hours, you're going to have more money than other people. Good for you.
Well, and some people want to do that because they just don't have a lot of other stuff going on in their lives,
Well, they genuinely are passionate about what they're doing.
Yeah.
And it's worth it. It's really worth it to work that hard. And sometimes I feel like it's really worth working really hard where I work, even in
Mhm.
retail, even when it's fucking lame. I like the people. I like solving problems, getting shit done, and like feeling like I'm good at something. And I don't mind putting hours in.
Well, it annoys
And
me
what else am
too.
I going to do? What else am I going to fucking do with my day?
That sometimes I think about that. Like if I'm
At
like,
least I'm doing something.
if when I'm getting ready for work in the morning or before I leave, I'm kind of like, ugh, gotta go to work. But then if you actually take a second and be like, well, what would I do today if I wasn't going to work? And the answer most times like, I'd probably be playing some video games, maybe take the dogs for a walk, like stuff that I can do still anyway, even though I'm going to work. So it's like sometimes you just have to recognize that there's not really much else you would be doing anyway that's productive. So
Well, and you're
but also
just
on the
super
subject
lucky.
of taking pride in your work is I've really started to become fucking annoyed working with people who don't want to be at work, like don't want to be at their jobs. I'm like, then go find
Complainers.
another fucking job, dude. Because the rest of us are here putting in effort to like make things happen and make this fucking
Yeah.
ship sail smoothly, and you're fucking it up. So
Yeah.
leave. Like it
Yeah.
annoys me so
Yeah.
much. Like
I
I get it.
really,
Sometimes the job sucks. It's
yeah.
you work at McDonald's, it's nobody's dream job probably. But if you're gonna be there, then fucking contribute and do your part and don't be a bitch about it. Otherwise, fucking leave. There's so many places you could go work. Even if you're doing a little
Yeah.
job
I,
hopping to find something you can tolerate, do it.
there's like a culture of resentment in the workplace.
Mm.
And if you contribute to it, it grows. And if you like nurture it, it grows. And I've been trying to recognize it so that I can not contribute to it, because I mean, retail fucking sucks. It's a goddamn war zone.
Mhm.
And it's very demanding, and it's very easy to blame everyone else and blame all the customers and blame your boss and blame the company and everyone else. But ultimately, it's just not that big of a deal. And you just have to let shit roll off your back, and you have to like move on, and you have to try like just do your best and you'll be fine.
Mhm.
And but you just find that there's these times when people in nearby other employees are just going off about other employees or about the customers or about the rules or about blah blah blah. But it's so unproductive. It's so unhelpful. It does not help anyone get through the day. All it does is make you want to leave. It
Mhm.
makes you want to quit, it makes you want to leave. It makes you want to like be resentful toward customers, which is never going to help. It makes you want to hate other people you work with, because they're sowing all these little seeds of fucking resentment. And I don't, it's not helpful. I don't want to do
Mhm.
it. I don't want to do it anymore. I don't want to be resentful. I'm I I'm I'm probably able to do other things, but I choose to go to fucking retail job, and I need to appreciate that. And I
Mhm.
need to go happy. I need to be happy. I need to be okay with it because I choose to do it, and it's not that bad, and I'm going to survive. And and I could do other things, and I choose not to. And it's because I know how to do it. So just admit that you're just accept that that's your job right now. You can work toward other jobs, and you can work toward learning new things, and you can have other things in your life. But when you're at work, nothing is benefited by all this drama and negativity and fucking like talking shit's kind of fun, but there's certain point where you're just like, you just got to stop and be like
Yeah.
happy you're alive and happy there's other stuff to talk about. But we forget. And then there's also like this weird um like anti-personal nature in retail, especially like you're not sure if you want to like be friends with these people. You're not sure if you're actually friends or you're just workmates.
Mhm.
And I think if you were just became more friends, like if everyone was a little more personal, and you get real personal sometimes, and it gets a little weird sometimes,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
a
you
lot of
gotta be
times
careful of that.
yeah, it's like there's this major balance that you get to have, especially as a manager. Like I have to be so fucking careful about all the things I say and all the things I do, but it really keeps me disconnected from people that I'm around all the fucking time. And so I try to treat it like um like without so much like if I died tomorrow, am I going to be worried that I told this other person about some personal aspect of my life? I'm not going to care about that. It's just going to make them like me more, and I'm going to like them more for listening to me. There's like a major benefit to being personal and to be honest, and part of being honest is complaining, but there's a limit. It's tough. It's fucking really tough.
Well, it can relieve stress sometimes too, especially if you dealt with a shitty
Absolutely.
customer and you guys can
Very
kind of
much.
just do a little shit talking about that customer after they leave, just to sort of
Yeah.
vent and cool off. And then, yeah, you just move on. You let it
Yeah.
roll off and you keep
Yeah.
going. But I think building relationships with people you work with is important too. That's been
Yeah.
helpful for me where I work, because I work in a clinic. So it's like I work with the same group of people every single day. So it's like if you don't have like at least a somewhat friendly relationship with them, it makes the job more difficult, because it's like not only are
Yeah.
you trying to help patients and do your day-to-day tasks, but it's like if if you're having problems with somebody, then it compounds the issues. And so it's like I try to just be friendly with everybody. Like the person that works at the desk with me, like she's only been there for a few months, but like I've talked to her, like I've gotten to know her and just learned like about her family, about her husband and her kids, and like she just tells me about shit that's going on with her kids, and it's like it's almost like a friendly thing where it's like I kind of know about her beyond just work. Um, and so it's fun, like, because then you're sort of almost like you feel like you're working with a friend instead of just like working with some fucking stranger that you don't know anything
Yeah.
about and you don't get to know at
For
all. So
sure.
it's like if you build some camaraderie with your coworkers, it just
Yeah.
makes your work experience
Well, and that
better.
means like sometimes you buy each other coffee and
Yeah,
stuff,
exactly.
and
Yep.
it just shouldn't be that big of a deal to do that kind of stuff. And I appreciate that kind of stuff. Um,
Yeah, I do that too. Like if I go to
yeah.
our cafe or whatever, I'll like, hey, do you want anything? And then if
Yeah.
they say no, I'm like, okay, well, I'll just get something for you anyway. I just
Yeah.
fucking pick something
You
anyway.
say
I don't give
fuck
a
you.
fuck. So
Yeah.
it's just,
um, so we're getting a little late and I'm getting
oh,
tired.
oh, okay.
So I'd like to transition just to a couple things. One is I have two ideas for the end of the
Oh.
show. Welcome to the Fleeting Thoughts podcast. I'm Joe. I'm so tired. So the first thing is let's do three things that we're thankful for, right? Because Thanksgiving.
Because of Thankskiving from
Yep.
3
Gobble
months
gobble
ago,
gobble.
2 months ago.
Well, how is it? Isn't this the gobble gobble
Wasn't
gobble
it
gobble?
like that or something? I don't know.
No, that's the shocker.
Oh, okay. No. The shocker
No,
is this, dude.
yeah, it is. Two in the pink,
Four
three
in
in
the
the
stink.
stink,
Yep.
four in the stink. So I'll start and I'm going to say three things I'm thankful for. And then after that, we'll do recommendations. We forgot recommendations last time.
I know. I
And
realized that
you know
after we
what?
stopped.
I even put them in there, but it was just like last week's recommendation. My bad. But what was it? I don't know what I'm talking about. Okay.
You were gonna list something you were thankful for?
Yes, three things. One is
Three. That's so many.
I'm excited to shoot my new gun. I got that
Mhm.
new little cowboy pistol. I'm excited for that. That's going to be next weekend because this weekend's already over. It's Sunday night. I'm excited to have a new roommate at the end of the month. It's going to save me money and it's going to be a fucking challenge because having a roommate's a fucking challenge.
Yeah, you gotta like work out a whole system.
Yeah. Well, and I don't want to I really like they're a relative, so I don't want to like burn a, I don't want to fuck up a relationship.
Yeah.
And I wanted to work out because it saved me money because I'm selfish. That's two. The third one is I'm grateful for my guitar. I don't know. That's a third one.
I was gonna say
I
three's a
enjoy it.
lot, man. Like coming up with one or two, that's not too
You
bad.
gotta, you gotta,
Yeah,
you gotta
dig deep.
dig deep for you. I mean, you don't have to. You don't have to do anything. But you got any?
Yeah, I mean this is kind of cheesy, but I'm actually really thankful for the relationship I have with my wife,
Yeah.
because we've been married for at the end of February for 13 years and we've been
Wow.
together for 16 years. And we have like no problems. She's like a person that I just emphatically trust. Like I never have any doubts about anything. Like, and it's reciprocated, and we can be brutally honest with each other. Like if I don't want to go do something, like when she goes and hangs out with her family, I'll tell her I don't want to go do this, but I will if it will make you happy. I will go for you. And sometimes she'll say, yes, I would like you to go. And other times she's like, nah, don't worry about it. I know you don't want to go. So it's just nice to have this very open and honest relationship that I don't think a lot of people have. I feel, especially that, I feel like sometimes things get really stale and boring after you're together with somebody for that long. So hopefully that continues. So I'm very grateful for that. And I am grateful that I have a wife who's also still editing a book that will maybe get but I'm grateful to, and I actually look forward to this year because I am definitely going to have 2 books come out this year. I'm 2/3 of the way done writing one book right now. And what's the last thing? You know what? I'll go cheesy again. I'll say that I'm also very grateful for our friendship. I actually really
Yeah.
look forward to doing the podcast. Not even so much because like we're doing a podcast. It's more like I view it almost more like, hey, I'm gonna go hang out with Joe for a couple of hours and we're just gonna talk and record it.
Yeah.
Basically, it's just like
That's
a
what happens.
very nice, almost kind of like scheduled thing that we do on a mostly weekly basis. And every once in a while we'll skip a week or whatever. But it's nice to just kind of have that time every week set aside to like sit down and just like talk to
Yeah.
somebody and dedicate attention to somebody, you know, like we sit here usually for a couple hours and stare at each other on our monitors and chat. And
Yeah,
so
it's great.
and I always feel way better after we talk too. It's like I think it's
Oh,
just because
good.
you get to socialize, you know, you get to socialize
Yeah.
with somebody and talk about some interesting ideas. And yeah, so I'm
Yeah.
grateful that we've continued to do this and we sort of resurrected it after not doing it for a few years. So
Yeah, I'm grateful as well. I appreciate that. I'm grateful that I have someone to talk to
yeah,
because it's a conversation that I don't have. I mean, I don't have this kind of conversation very often. So
yeah, I don't either. I don't like.
yeah,
Sometimes I'll start to go off on a tangent, similar like we do like at work or something with like a
yeah,
coworker. But then I have to like remember to rein it in. I'm like, I
yeah,
can't like.
yeah,
I can't talk about how suicide is not such a bad
yeah,
idea when I'm working in a
yeah,
behavioral health
for
clinic. You know what
sure.
I mean? Like, so it's like
It's
you got to kind of be careful. You can't just like let your mind completely wander off. So
yeah, and we have a lot of freedom here. Um, the Freedom Thoughts.
yeah.
Freedom Thoughts podcast, which would be a good name for a podcast. I'm also thankful for my family. I think that's more important than my guitar.
Uh-huh.
I really like hanging out with my family and um that's been enjoyable. I was out at my brother's the other day. We had a campfire and I was that fucking dude with the guitar just fucking plinking around
Mhm.
while everybody's talking, and I was just felt real good about it. So I don't know why.
Well,
I
you
just
probably can at least play well enough where like you're plinking on the guitar isn't irritating people.
I
They're kind of
really
like,
hope
oh,
not.
yeah.
I was thinking about asking, and I was like, kind of like, I don't really want to know. I don't know. I don't know if I
I'm
want
just
to
gonna
know.
do it. I'm just gonna set
I
the
just
mood and
did
we'll
it,
see what happens.
and if they hate it, they're gonna real hate it. They're gonna really not like it. All right, that was good. I think gratitude uh, training is important.
I try to
Makes you
to
feel good.
practice it whenever I'm starting to feel depressed about something, you know, like if I
Yeah.
feel like things are sucking right now, I do try to reframe it and be like, well, you know, this is going well. I mean, this could be worse because things obviously could always be worse. So it's like sometimes you just have to reframe your thought process to not get lost in the negativity.
Yeah,
So yeah, I think that stopping to acknowledge what you're grateful for is a good idea. I
for
think people
sure.
should practice it on like a daily basis, you know, even if you don't
Yeah.
vocalize it, just stop and think about it for a second. Like,
Yeah. You
what
need
are what are you
like a
glad for?
timer, like
Mhm.
a thing on your calendar or something about it.
Almost like a daily meditation, you know, where
Yeah.
you meditate and then you just think about something that
Yeah.
you're grateful for and then you move on.
Yep. And then you can kind of reset because you get these like recurring angers, you know,
Mhm.
um, and it's just not helpful. The brain is a beast to be tamed. The mind. So what about a recommendation? Do you have a recommendation?
Yes. I actually like what's funny is I watched so many like newer movies over the last couple of weeks, but now I can't remember what any of them are for some reason. Like we went and watched the new Scream, which was pretty good. But anyway,
Yeah.
I finished reading this book last week that I wanted to recommend. It's called the Poppy War, and it's the first book in a trilogy, and it's kind of like a dark historical fantasy series. It's by R.F. Kuang, and it's like kind of like a it's actually like surprisingly like kind of dark and violent, but it's utilizes Chinese history, and it's
Ooh.
about this young woman who tests into this military academy during like a time of turmoil between these different provinces in this country and stuff. um and so like the first half of the book is her, she's like an orphan girl that was taken in by these poor farmers, and so she's coming from like this poor village, tests into this academy that's typically for like really prestigious like royal families and stuff. So she's kind of this outcast when she first goes there because she's the peasant girl from the dirty fucking rice village. And so she like doesn't fit in because everybody else is from these wealthy families and have lived really comfortable lives and have like spent their whole childhood preparing for the test to go into the academy, whereas she just sort of tests into it because she's naturally gifted. I mean, she does a lot of studying and like cramming to pass, but she's kind of got like this innate talent for learning. And anyway, but then the second half of the book is them actually sort of after they graduate, like these events kick off essentially a war between these different provinces. And so the second half deals with these like military battles. And then there's like a fantasy element where she's able to summon these like Chinese gods. Well, one god in particular, the phoenix, into like her body, and essentially like enhances her abilities for a price.
Like $12.
Yeah. They just throw some rice grains and then they call it good.
But there's no fiber in there.
It's really good. It caught me by surprise. It was like one of these books that I bought. It was like on sale on Kindle for like $1.99 like months ago. And I was like, I read the plot and I was like, yeah, this seems kind of cool. I'll buy it. And so I actually sat down and read it, and I was impressed. I'm definitely going to read the other two books at some point. I bought the second one, but whenever I'm reading a series, I usually read one entry and then I try to go read a few other things, and then I go back and read the next one because I get burnt out if I try to read like a series back to back.
I can't. I can't do it either.
I got to take a break in between volumes. I've also started reading the Witcher books because I'm a huge fan of the Witcher 2 and 3, the games and stuff. And and the Netflix show is great too. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. If you're interested in like violent historical fantasy, or if you have an interest in like Chinese culture, it's derived. Some of it's like directly from Chinese history, and then there's other things that are just obviously fictionalized.
But what if it gives me emotional damage?
Well, that's on you, and you have to take it up with your therapist.
Damage. I know.
How about you?
God.
What's your rec this week?
My recommendation is Sing 2.
Sing 2,
the movie. It's fun.
Nice.
That's it. It's super fun. It's got great songs, great soundtrack, a lot of modern pop songs done really well.
Nice.
It's very upbeat and fun, and it's just a good time. I enjoyed it. It's got great comedy voice actors. It's got a good story. It's a nice little romp.
I always have a hard time with those movies because I'm the kind of person that I just prefer my entertainment to be sort of dark, depressing, and violent. And so it's like I should be like in the mood for like a comedy or like a more lighthearted film. Yeah,
I'm the opposite.
Like
I have to be in the mood to watch something dark and dramatic. I have to be in the mood for it. Otherwise, it's comedy constantly, all comedy all the time. I don't like. I feel like I have too much drama in my life, or I guess I used to have drama. I don't really have that much drama, but maybe because in retail, it's like I'm listening to people fucking complain all day. I don't want to listen to people on TV do it. Anyway.
Yeah, I just gravitate to like horror specifically. Yeah. Like, especially if I'm like playing something. I've been playing like Assassin's Creed Odyssey lately.
Yeah.
And it's one of those games where you don't need the sound. It's very Zen gaming, like sort of mindless, tedious over and over tasks. And so I've just been like watching Masters of Horror. Like it started streaming. And so I was like, oh, I haven't watched this show in like a few years. And so I've just been watching that while playing that like pretty much all day today while I was doing laundry. And it's like the horror is always it's like my comfort food for some reason.
Wow.
Yeah. But I love have you watched like Power of the Dog yet? Or
I did watch Power of the Dog actually. I did not like it.
You did not like it.
I thought it was going somewhere.
It goes then completely different direction than I thought too.
I just got bored the second I figured out where it was going. I was like, oh, this is like a fucking. I mean, we could spoil it, but you know what's funny? This is stupid, and it's very stupid. But the first thing I thought as I started watching it was, why does this remind me of Brokeback Mountain? And then it turned into fucking Brokeback Mountain.
See,
like in a totally different way. But I
didn't pick up on that at all.
About it just didn't strike me as a Western about Westerny type stuff. It was very different. And I liked a lot about it. I really liked the aesthetic. I liked that the characters were fucking weird.
I love the score. I actually listen to
Yeah.
that soundtrack sometimes when I'm like reading or working out.
Yeah,
It's a
great,
really great
great,
soundtrack. Like the
great
score is awesome.
cinematography, good music, great acting, even like Cumberbatch, great character, like
Mhm.
really different. Like you don't understand that character at all until you figure it out.
Yeah.
Um, and once you figure it out, you realize like he's actually like kind of annoyed because of who he is, like who's around. He's like he's way smarter than everybody, and he doesn't want to be smart. He just wants to work really hard, but he's also like a good guy if he wants to be. And it's so he like takes that young man and he kind of um uh uh takes him under his wing kind of, but then there's also a relationship there too. And it gets a little bit it like almost becomes sexual. um I
See,
don't
I didn't
know.
read it that way. I always read it more like he envied the boy because the boy is like blatantly sort of effeminate
I think you're right. Yeah.
and so I feel like he obviously has spent his whole life hiding, right? And
Yeah.
like putting on
Yeah.
a very strong, tough guy front.
Very tough
And then
guy.
he
Yeah.
meets this kid who, even though he's making fun of him and giving him shit for what he does, and
Yeah.
he is not coordinated, he doesn't know how to ride a horse well, like all these things. But the kid is like unperturbed by that. Like he's
Yeah.
comfortable just continuing to be himself. And so I feel like I didn't view them having like a sexual relationship as much as like he just became sort of envious of the kid and like took him under his
I,
wing.
it didn't get sexual, but what I think the kid was longing for some affection.
Mhm.
He wasn't going to get it, but there was a connection between them because they were both gay. And the old man was not, I don't think he was interested in the kid in the same way the kid was interested in the old man. But they found each other and it was very beneficial to either of them. It was still good. It wasn't weird and it wasn't like predatory on in any case. It just was like kind of uh confusing because they had to hide it.
Well, and I feel
Um
like too,
but I can I
I feel
say
like the
this?
kid cared
Yeah.
more about his mother than anything else, which was like the big, that's
Yeah,
kind
he
of like the
did.
big thing at the end. And it actually, as soon as I finished watching the movie, I went back and rewatched the very beginning of it when he has like
Mhm.
a little narration thing in the
Yeah.
beginning, and
He had to
he says
protect his
something
mom.
like, I would do anything to protect my mom. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, that's really what this movie's about. Is like
Yeah.
he is gonna fucking do whatever it takes to make sure his mom's happy, even if it means fucking finding some very devious way to fucking murder somebody, basically. So I viewed him as more
Wait a
like
minute, wait a minute.
manipulating
He
the other guy.
murdered the
Yeah,
dude. So
yeah.
I watched the last like 10 minutes of that movie like 3 times. And it just all of a sudden the guy's dead. And I couldn't figure out how he did it.
So you know what he did? So he, you know how he finds that they have some
Yeah,
of the cattle
the
that are
cow.
sick, right?
Yeah.
He finds the dead sick one, and that's where he got the leather strips from that he gives to the guy later, because the
Oh,
leather
I
is
never put that
contaminated by the
together.
sickness. So he intentionally does it to
That makes
get
the
him
movie
sick.
very much more interesting to me.
So yeah, that
Because
really
I
he's like
didn't get the
manipulating
end.
the guy the whole time.
Oh, I didn't
He's like
notice
kind of
that.
a monster in, like sheep's clothing kind of thing, where
Yeah.
he
He
like
takes
he takes
advantage.
advantage of Cumberbatch's character opening up to him because he knows that
Oh, I never
he
thought
makes
of
his
that.
mom miserable, because he's the reason why his mom starts drinking again
Yeah,
and
yeah.
is
Well, he kind of
unhappy.
blames him.
So it's like at the end of the movie, I was like, holy fuck, this movie
Yeah.
is really about how he manipulated a man who is uncomfortable with himself and killed him basically without leaving any sign or trace that he was
Yeah.
responsible for his death.
I thought it was one of those like Cohen brothers movies where it doesn't nothing really happens.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't put together that the kid was manipulating anything. I just thought that the guy just randomly died because fucking it's the
Yeah,
old
because they even talk
west.
about how he was so careful, like he never messed with the
I
sick
know,
cattle or whatever. So they're
but
like, how did this happen? And it's
how did the
because that
kid
kid,
create strips and not get the anthrax on himself?
because
How did he not
they were
die?
talking about, he actually puts gloves on. If you watch that scene again, he actually puts his surgical
Oh,
gloves
he
on,
does
and
put
then
gloves on in that one scene, but
yep,
it's so subtle.
that's what I mean.
I
It's
did
like
not
one of those
get
things. If
that.
you're not paying attention to it, you miss
Oh,
things.
I missed it.
It's almost maybe we're like worth
Yeah, I might.
rewatching for you now that
It's a
you
little
kind of know
slow.
some things to look out for. You might be able
Yeah.
to enjoy it more.
Well, it's a little slow, and I can enjoy
It
that
is a slow
now. But
movie, that's for sure.
what I kind of didn't like was that it was kind of like the mom was kind of just being a like she was just using alcohol and drugs as a scapegoat. Like
Yeah,
I didn't have any respect for her because of that. Like whatever, she has a oh, my life's hard, but and it's kind of scary, but like she was fine. She was living in a fucking mansion. Like calm the fuck
yeah,
down.
yeah.
Go gain some
Her life
purpose in
was
your
definitely
life.
way harder before she got married, where she was running that fucking inn or working at that
Yeah.
inn, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
It was
yeah,
just,
it was.
and then I had like no respect for the brother that married her. He didn't make any sense to me. He was just kind of like living off of the money and kind of didn't contribute anything.
It was just
Um,
basically like a whole cast of characters who essentially were like trying to live a life that did not fit who they really were, and they were trying to
yeah,
force themselves to fit, you know, because like the younger brother didn't want to be a rancher. He was more interested in living
yeah,
in the city and having a more
yeah.
like sophisticated life.
Luxurious life. Yeah.
And then, you know, the other brother can't handle his own, you know, sexual
Yeah.
desires and puts up a front. And really the only character who is totally comfortable and living his best life is the kid.
Yeah.
And then you find out he's a fucking manipulating psychopath.
Yeah. So I guess he is the dog and he has the power.
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
that the idea? Because he
I
reads
guess.
that passage at the end, and I just thought, oh, this is
Hmm.
poetic just to be poetic. I didn't really care about it, but
Yeah.
it makes more sense that he purposefully did that. I bought into the kid really likes the guy, and then I was also curious why he didn't care that he died, but now it makes perfect sense.
Hmm.
He
Because
wanted him to die.
yep. That's what I
Um,
mean. Because at first I was like, oh, this is gonna be one of those movies where like these two souls are gonna come together against the odds and like find happy. And then at the end, you're like, oh fuck, no, it actually took a different turn. And
did
then you suddenly realize how manipulative the kid was.
did
Like
the
he's almost
kid
manipulating the audience too.
did the kid manipulate the mom into burning all the skins? Because that's what precipitates him giving him his skins.
Well,
He
no, she
strips.
did she burn him? I thought she gave him to
No, she gave
the.
him away. Yeah,
Yeah, she
whatever.
gave him
To
away.
the Indians when
Uh,
normally he burns them.
yeah. But that part I'm not sure. I probably have to
Because
rewatch it again.
that's
I just know
like,
that she gives the skins
yeah.
away and then he throws a fucking fit about it. But
But then that gives the kid the opportunity to give him
to
the
give
little
the strips,
strips.
yeah. I
But
don't
I
think
don't
the mom had any idea what was going on. I don't think she's any part of it. She's
know. But I wonder if
oblivious.
the kid had manipulated her a little bit into like trying to help the Indians or something. I don't know.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, like I said, I have to rewatch it and try to like pay
Yeah.
attention to that more. But no,
Weird.
yeah. Well, I'm glad
Yeah.
that it sounds like you like it a little bit more now that now it's
It at least
kind of
has
clicked for you.
it
Yeah.
has a resolution
Yeah.
now. It didn't have one before. It just was all of a sudden the guy dies. It
Hmm.
didn't make any sense. But he was an asshole, and I kind of wished he played the banjo more because that was kind of fun because I want to play the banjo. But yeah, it was weird. It was a weird movie for sure. It was definitely like a art project movie, you know. It's not
Well, I
for a
just remember,
mainstream
yeah, I know
audience.
for sure, yeah, because I remember watching the trailer for it, and the trailer makes it seem like it's going to be kind of like some kind of domestic horror film,
Yeah,
like
that's what it looks like. Yeah.
psychological horror film. And so as I was watching, I'm like, oh, this isn't really what I expected. And then, yeah, I think that's maybe why I enjoyed it so much, is it completely
Flipped
belied
it.
all of my
Yeah.
expectations for what I thought it was going to be. So,
Yeah. I might have been playing a little Dark Souls while I was watching it too.
yeah, that explains it.
So I ended up watching the last like 20 minutes of the movie again, trying to figure out what happened. Because I was like, all of a sudden the dude's gone. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay, whatever.
Because at
But
first, when his hands get all fucked up, I'm like, oh, it's probably because he never bathes or washes his hands. He's probably got a
when
fucking infection.
he's
And
like
then the
cutting
next thing he's
himself.
dead. And you're
Yeah.
like, whoa,
Yeah.
look at that.
Yeah.
They could have cut his fucking hand off. Jesus. And then you find out that he got sick from the fucking anthrax or what the
Well, and
fuck.
I didn't know anthrax existed back then. And where did it come from? And why was it killing stuff? Is it just in the earth? I've never heard of that.
Yeah, I think it's
Like
has something.
naturally
I think it
occurring.
gets in the grain and then it infects the animals if they're eating the grain. I
I don't
think
even
I
know what
could be wrong.
anthrax is. I just thought it was something you get in the mail.
God damn the Taliban. Now I'll never
Yeah.
know what anthrax
Or
really is.
the Unabomber.
I thought
Wasn't
it was
he
white
doing that?
powder in an envelope. I'm confused.
Yeah. It is. It is that. I don't know. It's fucking scary.
Well, we just
All
spoiled
right.
the hell out of the power of the dog. So
Yeah.
hopefully,
Well,
you
or
sort of
we
warned him ahead of time
explained
that it
it.
was going to get a little spoilery.
We
But
spoil everything. We don't
it's
film
been out for a
beforehand.
while. I feel like if you're going to watch it, it's been on Netflix for like fucking 2 months now.
Yeah.
So
I'm not really a believer in spoilers of that nature anyway. Spoilers of twists are different than spoilers of like just talking about what happens in a movie. Like I like it, either the movie's good and you enjoy it or you don't. It doesn't matter if you know what's going to happen.
yeah, well, in that case, it's like you hear about it. If I heard somebody talking about it, I'd be like, oh, now I want to go watch this movie because now I kind of want to see how this all
Yeah, it
unfolds
would
on
make it,
screen.
if anything, it'd make it better.
Hmm. Well,
Like,
because you kind of know what to expect and sort of what to look out for as
well,
you're
and
watching it.
it changes the purpose of the movie. And when I started the watching, I had no idea what the purpose of the movie was.
Hmm.
There's none of it made any sense at all. It's just like people's lives, and you're
I
like,
kind of want
okay, I don't give a fuck.
to read the novel.
Yeah, it's probably a better
The novel
novel.
I think it came out like 67 or something like that. It's been fucking around for a long time. So
Just fucking around.
curious how if the novel is like the same kind of like story or if they adapted and changed it around to do something different. Who knows?
I wonder if Benedict Cumberbatch is in the novel.
Yeah.
I think his American accent is really good, but it still doesn't feel natural to me. If that makes sense. Like his
Yeah.
Boston accent in the one about Whitey Bulger, it was just like everyone gives him a lot of credit for his accents, and he's great at accents and stuff, but obviously way better than I am. But
Mhm.
it still doesn't feel that natural. It feels over the top. It feels put on. It's not like smooth enough for me for some reason. And part that because I'm looking for it and I'm a judgmental asshole when it comes to language and accents.
Well, I
And
feel like
stuff.
a lot of people got exposed to him when he was doing British stuff. So it's like you get used to hearing that accent. So then when they're not doing the accent anymore, you're like, oh, this is much more noticeable.
Yeah.
I think some people maybe don't notice it because like their exposure to him probably started with like the Doctor Strange movies, and he, does an American accent in that.
See,
So some
and
people
his
probably don't
accent,
even realize, but
his accent in the Doctor Strange ones is perfect.
Mhm.
Totally smooth American accent.
Yeah.
But in The Power of the Dog, he puts on a particular Southern type accent, and it does not feel natural to me. It doesn't match the other people's talking. It just, it threw me off. It felt like he was really trying to concentrate on the way he was talking.
Well, and there was certain words he would say in The Power of the Dog that he pronounced incorrectly, like with an accent, which was weird because the rest of his speech was normal. Like every time he said piano, he said panano. And I'm like, why the fuck is he saying it like that? He seems to be an eloquent speaker. Why would he?
Yeah.
Piano sounds like something somebody would say if they were uneducated. So they were just sort of, throwing some extra fucking
I think it was like a way to create an oldism.
Maybe I think
like
so.
That's like a quirk of the old speech, but I didn't like that either. I actually thought that I was hearing it wrong until I heard it.
Yeah, the first time he said it, I was like, "What the fuck did he just say?"
And then I thought he was just talking about something else. I was like, "What is he talking about?" I think he was like trying to make fun of people because they're so dumb for enjoying the piano, like because the piano is like a boring instrument to him.
Yeah. It just sort of pulls you out of it, because if he had an accent that sounded uneducated and then said piano, well, I wouldn't have thought anything of him. Like, oh yeah, he's not a very well educated person. He doesn't know how to pronounce certain words correctly.
It was like a character quirk that didn't help. But would have been fun is if he like helped her learn the piano because he was into music.
Mhm.
Also would be fucking awesome is if he was like the gay friend of her and just was like, oh girl, we're gonna fucking hell yeah, let's play the piano.
This is gonna be fun. I know you're freezing up in front of everybody. Don't worry, we're gonna handle this.
Oh, we're gonna get you that stage fright's gonna be over. It's gonna be great. That would have been the movie fucking to watch.
That'll be the remake that comes out in 20
And then
years.
the kids like dancing and she's playing the piano, he's doing the fucking thing.
And then nobody dies. It's like they all get along
super fun.
And live happily ever after. And
the brother's just in the corner slapping his knee going, God dang, my life's nice.
My brother's getting along with my new wife.
Yeah,
My
everyone's nice.
son-in-law's is dancing and having a gay old time.
The governor's over here. We got all these people. It would have been a way funny movie. They should do a parody of Western, a Western parody. I know they did it with
I think the last one was A Million Ways to Die in the
A
West.
Million Ways
like
to Die in
the
the West,
last.
which was good. It was
It
good,
was.
especially what's his name? What is his
Harlem,
name?
Liam Neeson.
No, they did good, but
Giovanni
Giovanni Ribisi,
Mhm.
his fucking character in that, where he's just fucking moving his hips, dancing around like a fucking weirdo, and his relationship with the Sarah Silverman is just so fucking weird. That's my favorite part of that movie is Giovanni Ribisi, like when he's drinking and he's just like dancing around.
Yeah, just really jiving
So,
the hips
so
in a
silly.
way that they definitely did not dance back then.
No,
so.
it was so funny. He would have got beat up for sure. But and then the outtakes, if you watch the outtakes for that, that's something I watch on YouTube all the time. Like you like drama, I like outtakes. I want to watch bloopers every day of my life. I very much enjoy that. It makes me laugh. But they need to do another parody of just all the classic Western stuff. Just
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm
let's
sure it'll happen. Million Ways to Die in the West, because I mean, if before Million Ways to Die in the West was Blazing Saddles is probably
Blazing
the last
Saddles,
one of note. Like
really
so, and that's like a 30-40 year
yeah.
gap between those movies.
Yeah.
So.
Well, there's just not Westerns aren't a huge. I mean, they're big, but they're not like hugely mainstream.
No, they definitely had their heyday like in the 50s and 60s probably, and then they kind of faded off.
Well, and you got to get kind of lucky with like a Django Unchained, you know, where it's a real modern Western.
Yeah, but that mixes a lot of other sort of elements into it. It's not just a straight Western, you know. So
well, Django's pretty.
I mean, it's a Western.
It has music, I guess, that's not Western, but most of the and some of the language. But
there's like a comedy element to it in some scenes and the hyper violence. It's almost like a pulp, like a bloody pulp Western sort of.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah. Well, and what is that other one? That Tarantino did like right at the same time.
The Hateful Eight.
The Hateful Eight. I mean, that
was more like a whodunit in a Western guise, because it was more of this everybody in a room trying to figure out who's poisoning who and what's going on. And
it was a whodunit for sure.
I need to watch it again.
It's a Western.
I watched it thinking it was going to be a different kind of movie, and then I was like, "Oh, this was not. I didn't really care for this. It was not what I thought it was going to be." But I want to rewatch it because now that I know, like, sort of. Kind of what it is. I might be able to enjoy it more.
I really didn't like it the first time I watched it because I thought it was a retelling of the same story of Reservoir Dogs.
That's what I felt too. I was like,
well, and then I watched it again and I had more appreciation for it. And I think the acting's amazing and the story's good, but I still think that it's all in one room. It's who did it. It's who's really who. I just don't see it as like a unique story.
I want to say the movie only works because of the timeline switching around, you know, like
because you don't know.
It starts halfway through the story and then reverts back to show you other stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, had they just started at the very beginning, right? Just told chronologically, it wouldn't have been. And then he did the same kind of thing with Reservoir Dogs, you know.
That's what I mean. Like I just
start at the halfway point and then jump around to.
It's like he was like, Reservoir Dogs was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to do Reservoir Dogs, but I really want to do a Western. So he did that. But it's like you just did Django, and Django's like one of the best Westerns of all time. So I didn't get it. I was like, Tarantino, what are you doing? Like, do something else. Do a space version of Reservoir Dogs or something. I don't know, but like, do something else. I don't know, but
yeah, I need to watch it
still
again.
not bad. It's just a lot of talking.
Well, most of his movies are. That's like his bread and butter is his like he's really good at writing dialogue for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, anyway, I guess we can get off here. I said we were trying to wrap it up, and then we started talking about Power of the Dog, and here we are, 20 minutes later.
For sure, another half an hour added. That's okay. It's making up for last time we didn't have one, so whatever. Again, go to what is the email? Fractal Focus Podcast. No, that's my other thing. That's my old business.
That's your old business.
That's how tired I am. Is
Fractal Focus.
Fleeting Thoughts Podcast at gmail.com is the fucking. We had a podcast for a minute though. My brother and I, when we started the business, that didn't last very long.
Well, pandemic makes things a little challenging.
Well, with the podcast, we just, we were like, we don't even have anything to talk about. We just started this thing. Let's actually do work, and then we'll have something to talk about. But yeah, the whole business thing we have to talk about some other day. I want to have my brother on. Maybe we could talk about pros and cons of starting a business and all that. Could be good.
Oh yeah.
I don't think we've done that. And just failing.
Most businesses do, man. Most small businesses fail.
That's why I feel really good about it. I feel great. I feel totally good about it.
Yeah, you fell in line with the expectation,
Yeah, that was I gotta go. Okay. Go to what is it? joesnotesblog.com, amazon.com, buy stuff. Kill your grandma.
Yeah, you don't have to keep grandma alive unless you have a strong bond with her where she actually means something to you.
I don't know, like get religion, like accept death. It's coming to everyone.
Yeah, why are you keeping grandma from paradise? Unless you think she was a bad person and is going to burn in hell.
If you believe in karma and reincarnation, boom, you're good to go.
Get that bitch on the fast track to better things.
Like, what kind of a god would like make grandma go to hell as grandma? That's a fucking dick god. Do you want to believe in that god that makes grandma go to hell as an old lady? Do you go to hell?
Apparently, depending on what you believe, God will send you to hell if you weren't baptized. So if you were a little 5-year-old who died of like child leukemia and you didn't get baptized, you're burning in hell, kid.
Was there a child leukemia or is it just leukemia?
I don't know.
Let's make
child onset dementia leukemia.
Dementia leukemia. Yeah, like early onset
it gets in your skull and then permeates into your brain, causing the dementia. So it's a dementia leukemia combo.
I have adult onset
combo
diaper rash. I don't have a diaper though.
Just the rash.
Just the rash.
I got them chafing boxers. What can I say?
Man, sometimes butthole itches. It's brummer.
It's true.
It's because of dysentery.
Dysentery Gary.
It's my favorite
Blink-182 song.
Okay, bye.
Bye.